Chapter 317. Long Family's Main Hall. Other than Longao and Longao, no one else knew about Long Ying's inheritance. After all, the fewer people who knew about it, the better it was for Long Ying. Have you thought it through? There were only 5 people in the main hall. Other than Longao, there were Longao, Long Yi, Wang Yidao, and Mu Wanfeng. When the 4 heard that Longao wanted to establish his own force, they were a little surprised. After all, they knew how difficult it was to establish one's own force. Grandfather, I have thought about this for a long time. Long family has limited our family and will never rise. So I must establish my own force. Only then will our family have a place in the mainland. How could Longao not understand his grandson's intention? However, this matter was still a little troublesome. If he was not careful, he would be digging his own grave. Since you have decided, Grandfather will support you. Have you thought of a name? Dragon Sect. Dragon Sect? Hearing that the name Longao chose was Dragon Sect, Longao and the others were shocked. Longao impatiently said, no matter what name you choose, I will not oppose it. The only thing you cannot do is Dragon Sect. If you do, you will attract a fatal disaster. Regarding the 4 people's worries, how could Longao not know? Grandfather, I have made up my mind. From now on, my new force will be called Dragon Sect. Longao sighed deeply. He knew his grandson too well. However, if it was called Dragon Sect, would the Long family agree? Without a doubt, Longao was 100% sure that once the Long family knew about this, they would not let his grandson go. Dragon Sect was obviously provoking the Long family. In order to preserve their reputation, it was easy to imagine how the Long family would deal with if you insist on calling it Dragon Sect, I can only tell you one thing. Before your force is established, you will attract your first strong enemy, the entire Long family. Longao nodded his head. Regarding this point, Longao had already considered it clearly. The establishment of the Dragon Sect would definitely provoke the Long family, but Longao knew very well that the Long family would definitely not do anything to him in the short term. Longao was taking advantage of this opportunity to lead the Dragon Sect to rise. As long as he succeeded, he would definitely be able to occupy a place in the 9 states in the future. It was precisely because of this that Longao was prepared to stake everything on this one throw. Since you've already decided, I won't say anything more. I just want to ask, how are you going to establish the Dragon Sect? I need to think. This time, Longao returned to his family and did not leave. No matter what, his agreement with the Heavenly Venerate of Law Enforcement was a month later. In other words, he had a month to establish the Dragon Sect. The Dragon Sect? Longao already had a preliminary scale in his mind. To establish the Dragon Sect, he first had to establish the Corpse Slave Hall. As the name implied, it was a place where corpse slaves existed. Longao had just roughly calculated that the Corpse Slave Hall had a total of 3 corpse slaves at the supreme level and 7 corpse slaves at the supreme level. As for the remaining 3 supreme level corpse slaves, they were soul slaves. Not to mention the other strengths, just the Corpse Slave Hall's strength alone was enough to look down on the 4 major sects and catch up to the Ghost King sect. Longao did not leave the soul slaves and corpse slaves in the family because the Fire Qilin was guarding the family. As long as the 4 overlords did not come looking for trouble, then everything would be fine. Therefore, his current priority was to develop the Dragon Sect with all his strength. The Dragon Sect? 3 days later, a brand new sect appeared in the Tianzhou. Under normal circumstances, the appearance of a sect would not attract any attention. If one was lucky, then it could be established for a longer time. If one was unlucky, some sects could not even last 3 days. However, when news of the Dragon Sect's situation spread, everyone was completely shocked. This was because the Dragon Sect's sect master was none other than Longao, who had annihilated the Blood Sea sect 3 months ago and was reborn 3 months later. Longao, the most famous person in the 9 prefectures. He was also the most dazzling genius. No one could understand why Longao would suddenly establish his own sect. If he wanted to, then so be it. But he actually gave it such a name, Dragon Sect. This was completely provoking the Long family. In the Tianwu continent, There was only one Long family. No power dared to use the word dragon. Why was that? It was because they were afraid of the Long family. However, Longao did not know the difference between life and death. He just had to choose the dragon sect. Everyone could imagine how the Long family would deal with Longao if they learned that Longao had established a dragon sect. Although Longao had single-handedly slaughtered the entire Blood Sea sect, the Blood Sea sect was simply a drop in the ocean compared to the entire Long clan. Not to mention Longao single-handedly going against the Long clan. Even if there were 10,000 Longaos, they wouldn't be a match for the Long clan. Everyone worshipped Longao, but they also felt helpless. They didn't know why Longao would provoke the Long family for no reason. Why didn't the dragon sect be called the Heavenly Sect, Earth Sect, or Overlord Sect? Why did he choose this name? Longao chose to ignore the discussions. In his opinion, the bigger the commotion caused by the dragon sect, the better it would be for the dragon sect. He couldn't wait for the 4 overlords to come and interfere. That way, it would be a free promotion for the dragon sect. Thunderclap sect. Big Brother Dugu. Why did Brother Long establish the dragon sect for no reason? Xia Jun's face was filled with worry and helplessness. He really couldn't understand why Longao would establish the dragon sect. Wasn't this just causing trouble for him? After all, the Long family wasn't to be trifled with. However, Dugu Bai smiled. Brother Long is truly worthy of being called an ordinary person. He's very smart. Why is that? It's very simple. Brother Long has already calculated that once the dragon sect is established, the Long family won't attack it. The reason is simple. As one of the continent's strongest powers, the Long family won't make a move for a newly established sect. After all, that would be bad for the Long family's face. Brother Long's dragon sect will definitely cause a commotion. The greater the commotion, the faster the sect will develop. I see. But the dragon sect has only just been established. Brother Long has already made a move. Isn't this a little too fast? It's not fast. Brother Long must have guessed that in the near future, the 4 overlords will definitely fight for Tianzhou. Therefore, this is the best time to establish the dragon sect. Once the 4 overlords fight for Tianzhou, without a doubt, with Brother Long's strength and potential, he will definitely be able to gain a place. Hearing Longao's words, Xia Jun was very surprised. He never thought that his big brother Dugu would have such a high opinion of Longao. Xia Jun also sincerely hoped that Longao could lead the dragon sect and gain a place for himself in Tianzhou. As a friend, he would even help him. Chapter 318. Ghost King Sect. After receiving the news that Longao had established dragon sect, Ghost King Aotian was shocked. He did not know what Longao wanted to do. Aotian's view of Longao had changed. He wanted nothing more than to take Longao into Ghost King sect. However, Ghost King was not a fool. He knew very well that with Longao's talent and potential, he would not be an ordinary person in the future. He believed that Ghost King sect would not be able to keep Longao under control. However, Aotian was not worried at all. He knew the relationship between Aoshue and Longao. As long as he grasped this point, Longao would be the son-in-law of Ghost King sect in the future. He could be considered half a disciple of Ghost King sect. Ghost King sect, by the lotus pond at the back of the mountain. Father, what did you just say? Aoshue, don't get too excited. Longao established dragon sect not long ago. If nothing unexpected happens, he will definitely provoke the Long family. When that happens, Longao will be in big trouble, very big trouble. As the daughter of Ghost King, Aoshue was very clear about many things in the 9 states, especially the Long family of the continent's overlord. Aoshue also did not understand why Longao wanted to establish dragon sect. There were many names, but why did he choose this name? This was obviously provoking the Long family. Would the dragon sect be able to go against the Long clan with its current strength? Looks like dragon sect is quite sensational. Not bad. Hearing this sudden voice, Ghost King and Aoshue were shocked. When they saw that it was Longao, Aoshue was stunned at first. Then, her tears flowed like water. She rushed forward and hugged Longao tightly, unwilling to let go. Shaking his head helplessly, Aotian said bitterly, "A grown girl cannot be kept at home. Father. Waving his hand, Aotion pointed to the seat beside him and said, Longao, come and sit. I have something to tell you. Longao nodded. No matter how bad his relationship with the Ghost King sect was, he only knew one thing, and that was that Aotion would always be Aoshua's father. This was something that would never change. It was precisely because of this that Longao had written off all the grudges. Tell me, why did you establish the dragon sect? I want to dominate Tianzhou and have a place in Jiuzhou. Now that things had come to this point, Longao did not hide anything, because he felt that it was meaningless. In fact, when he established the dragon sect, everyone had already guessed his ambition. A man without ambition was not a man at all. Of course, Longao was ambitious and extremely ambitious. Longao. Aotion waved his hand to stop his daughter from speaking. Aotion seemed to be very surprised. He said, Very good. You are very frank. I like frank people. Since that is the case, why don't we open the window and speak frankly? No problem. Longao, your dragon sect has only just been established. Don't talk about fighting against the four forces. You might not even be able to fight against the other four forces. I want to ask, how are you going to dominate Tianzhou? Longao smiled and said with a face full of confidence, Without trying, no one knows. The Ghost King sect has already been controlled by the Imperial City. If nothing goes wrong, from now on, Tianzhou will be the Imperial City's territory. Don't talk about your dragon sect. Even if the other three forces want to enter Tianzhou, it will not be easy. I still want to try. Hearing this and seeing the confidence on Longao's face, the Ghost King Aotion also slowly became serious, because he realized that Longao was not joking at all. If that was really the case, then this matter was quite interesting. The four forces of the 9 states, the Eastern Imperial City, the Western Third-Rank Long Family, the Southern Nether Mansion, and the Northern Ethereal Palace. The four forces have enough power to destroy any state. Back then, the battle between the four forces could be said to be a bloodbath. If nothing goes wrong, in less than 3 years, the battle between the four forces will be unavoidable. 3 years? 3 years was not a long time for a warrior, but it was not short either. However, Longao knew that in order to occupy a place, the dragon sect must continue to grow stronger within these 3 years. If someone else were to say these words to me, I would definitely sneer at them. But you, Longao, are different. I admit that I didn't want to marry Ao Shui to you at that time because I looked down on you. You are just a disciple of a small Scarlet Fire town, and you want to climb up the social ladder.
Father.
Ao Shui, I want to hear it. Longao did not feel the slightest bit angry. The more the Ghost King was like this, the more relaxed he was. If Aotion wanted to play dirty, he really would not be able to handle it. Longao, I have to admit that you are indeed quite a character. Just the fact that you barged into the Blood Sea sect alone and slaughtered them is something that no one has ever done before. Therefore, I believe that you want to occupy a place here. This was a bit surprising, but Longao did not say anything, because he knew that Aotion would continue. As expected, the four forces are very strong, but they are not invincible. This battle between the four forces is your chance. As long as you grasp it well, becoming the fifth force will not be a difficult thing. But Longao, I have to remind you that in a sect, the core strength is the most important. But with you alone, you will never be able to achieve great things. Nodding his head, how could Longao not know what Aotion was talking about? The dragon sect had just been established, and there was still a long way to go. Chapter 319. Join forces? Longao did not agree immediately. After all, even if the dragon sect and Ghost King joined forces, they would not be able to defeat the four controlling forces. Seems like we can't do it openly if we join forces. Longao, I know what you're thinking, but this is all I can do. In the future, if you can really soar, I will help you in the dark. I believe we can achieve unexpected results. Longao smiled and did not say much. After Ghost King left, Longao and Ao Shui sat down and talked about their longing. When the Imperial City entered Tianzhou, everyone thought that the other three controlling forces would enter Tianzhou and fight for the position. But what was the result? Before the three controlling forces officially entered Tianzhou, the Dragon Sect suddenly attacked the four controlling forces: the Golden Sun Sect, the Sound of Thunder Sect, the Wind Sect, and the Blazing Sect. Longao's intention was simple. If he wanted to enter Tianzhou, he had to be strong. The four controlling forces were the starting point. But Longao was smart. He did not attack the Sound of Thunder Sect alone. Instead, he attacked them together. It looked like an attack, but in reality, it was not. Longao wanted to destroy the four controlling forces? No one believed this at all. Although Longao's strength was very strong and could instantly kill a supreme being expert, when the four great sects joined hands, they were indeed incomparably powerful. If the Dragon Sect wanted to destroy the four great sects in a short period of time, it would not be an easy task. Plus, if the Dragon Sect attacked the four controlling forces, the Imperial City would not sit by and do nothing. Once the Imperial City attacked, the Dragon Sect would be in big trouble. But what no one expected was that in one night, the Dragon Sect destroyed the three controlling forces. Only the Sound of Thunder Sect was spared, destroying the three controlling forces in one night. What did this mean? No one reacted. Even the Ghost King did not come back to his senses. He never thought that Longao could really destroy the three major sects in one night. The Sound of Thunder Sect was spared. Xiafeng was almost scared to death. He also did not expect a newly established sect to be so terrifying. According to the rumors, the three controlling forces could not resist at all and were destroyed by the Dragon Sect. The strength that the Dragon Sect displayed was too strong. It was precisely because of this that the Sound of Thunder Sect held a meeting to discuss the future of the Sound of Thunder Sect. After a short discussion with the Sound of Thunder Sect, there were only two choices. The first was to submit to the Ghost King Sect, which meant submitting to the Imperial City. The second was to submit to the Dragon Sect and fight against the Imperial City. Two choices, how should he choose? The Sound of Thunder Sect was divided into two factions. The elders all chose to submit to the Ghost King clan because, in their opinion, the Imperial City was one of the four overlords of the 9 states and was very powerful. Following such a force was definitely the right choice. The other faction was led by Xiafeng, Dugubai, and Xiajun. They chose to submit to the Dragon Sect because the talent and power that Longao had displayed were too shocking. Perhaps in the future, he would be able to defeat the Imperial City and dominate the 9 states. Longao's counterattack was obvious to all. Before this, no one dared to imagine that Longao could rely on his own strength to slaughter the entire Blood Sea sect and destroy the three controlling forces in one night. Such a counterattack, regardless of whether others believed it or not, was completely believed by Xiafeng and the other two. In the end, the Sound of Thunder sect was divided into two factions. One faction chose to submit to the Ghost King clan, and the other faction chose to submit to the Dragon Sect. Since then, there were no more 6 controlling forces in the Tianzhou. Only the Ghost King clan and the Dragon Sect remained. One was an old sect in the Tianzhou, the other was a newly established sect. Everyone could predict that the Dragon Sect and the Ghost King clan would fight to become the overlord of the Tianzhou. No one was optimistic about the Dragon Sect. No matter what, the Ghost King clan had the support of the entire Imperial City. As long as the Imperial City made a move and sent out the law enforcement Heavenly Lord, they believed that destroying the Dragon Sect would be a matter of minutes. The Dragon Sect. Longao chose to destroy the 3 controlling forces this time because he knew that he could not delay for too long. Otherwise, once the Imperial City made a move, the consequences would be unimaginable. Because of this, Longao directly used all of his corpse slaves. One had to admit that the corpse slaves were too powerful. In just one night, they destroyed the 3 controlling forces. Master, now that we have destroyed the 3 controlling forces, if the Imperial City makes a move, what should we do? Hao Chao looked at the young man before him. Even now, he was still in a daze. He never thought that in less than a year, Longao would have such accomplishments. Not only did he slaughter the Blood Sea sect, he also destroyed the 3 controlling forces and became one of the 2 controlling forces in the Tianzhou. Hao Chao was originally a guest of the Long clan, but he was invited by Longao to become an elder of the Dragon Sect. No matter what, the Dragon Sect had just been established and needed talents. Smiling, Longao said confidently, "The Imperial City will definitely not make a move. We are already on the same level as the Ghost King clan. If the Imperial City makes a move, then I can guarantee that the other three controlling forces will interfere as well. Unless it is absolutely necessary, the Imperial City will not start a fight." Longao was very confident because he guessed that if the Imperial City was strong enough to ignore the other three controlling forces, then they would not let the Ghost King clan represent the Imperial City in the Tianzhou. Actually, Longao was also gambling that the Imperial City would not go against the Dragon Sect. If he gambled right, then the Dragon Sect would have a place in the Tianzhou. If he lost, then without a doubt, the Dragon Sect would be destroyed. Although Longao was very confident in his and his corpse's strength, he knew that with the Dragon Sect's current strength, it was impossible for them to fight against the Imperial City. What he wanted now was to use the three controlling forces to keep the Imperial City in check and secure the position of the Tianzhou's controlling force. Hao Chao was still a bit worried, but since things had come to this point, he could only choose to follow. Hao Chao also knew that with what Longao and the Dragon Sect were doing, if they lost, then they would be doomed. But if they won, then the Dragon Sect would start a new era, and this step would only take one night. If he said he was not impressed, then he would be lying. After all, Longao's talent and potential were there for all to see. Brother Hao, although the Imperial City may not make a move against the three sects, we still need to be prepared just in case. If something goes wrong, we will all retreat and use guerrilla tactics. I don't believe that the Imperial City can do anything to us. Nodding, Hao Chao immediately left because he knew the seriousness of this matter. After all, destroying the three sects was no small matter. If the Imperial City really made a move against the sects, then the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao's meaning was simple. If he made a mistake, then he could teleport away and not be destroyed by the Imperial City. This was the so-called just in case. Master. What is it? Master, the master of the Sound of Thunder sect, Xiafeng, has brought everyone to the sect to surrender. Dugu Bai and Xiajun? Hearing this, Longao immediately stood up. His face was filled with joy because he had already guessed why the Sound of Thunder sect was here. P.S. The remaining 2 chapters will be sent later. Everyone, please send more monthly tickets. If it goes well, Little 9 will stay up all night and upload the 10 chapters tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Please support Little 9. Chapter 320. The reason why Longao didn't destroy the Sound of Thunder sect this time was because of Dugu Bai and Xiajun. Longao wasn't surprised that the Sound of Thunder sect submitted to the Ghost sect. Longao had guessed that the Sound of Thunder sect only had 2 choices. They could either submit to the Ghost King's sect or submit to him. No matter what, the current Tianzhou had completely changed. It was no longer the situation where the 6 major sects ruled, but the Ghost King sect and the Dragon sect. According to his relationship with Dugu Bai and Xiajun, there was no doubt that the 2 of them would definitely choose to join his side. As long as they weren't idiots, they would know that the Sound of Thunder sect would only get more benefits if they chose him. After a short while, Brother Long, the Sound of Thunder sect would like to join. What do you think? Looking at the people who came in, Longao was overjoyed and said, "Welcome, you're very welcome." Everyone took their seats. Dugu Bai went straight to the point and said, "Brother Long, you are really too powerful. I really want to ask, how did you do it? How did you manage to destroy the 3 great sects in a single night?" Xiajun continued, "Brother Long, the news of the Dragon sect destroying the 3 major sects in one night has spread throughout the 9 states. Longao smiled and said, "I don't want to say any more pleasantries. This time, I welcome the Sound of Thunder sect to join us." Xiafeng, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said, "Master Long, this time the Sound of Thunder sect will be divided into 2. We choose the Dragon sect, and the rest choose the Imperial City. I wonder how Master Long would like to settle us." He went straight to the point because Xiafeng was most concerned about the Sound of Thunder sect. How could Longao not know what Xiafeng was thinking in his heart? Actually, Xiafeng was a little sad. A few months ago, Longao was just a small disciple of the Red Fire Town's Long family. But in just a few months, Longao had become the master of the Dragon sect. Even the master of the Sound of Thunder sect had to be respectful to him. Xiafong was even clearer that if it were not for his son and Dugu Bai, the Sound of Thunder sect would have been massacred by now. Their ending would be exactly the same as the three major sections. Uncle Xia, don't worry. The Sound of Thunder sect won't be removed. I've thought about it just now. How about this? From now on, the Sound of Thunder sect will be a branch of the Dragon sect. Uncle Xia will still be the master of the Sound of Thunder sect. Unless there's a major event in the sect, the Dragon sect won't interfere with the matters of the Sound of Thunder sect. Hearing those words, Xiafong, Xiajun, and Dugu Bai were all overjoyed. Although Xiafong was very unhappy, things had already come to this stage. It was already very good that the Sound of Thunder sect was not removed from the list. It could be considered a fortune amidst the misfortune. Thank you, Master Long, with a smile. Longao settled the Sound of Thunder sect and began to arrange the remaining matters. The Dragon sect was located at the peak of the Dragon Peak. The entire peak was very isolated. If one was not a disciple of the Dragon sect, it would be very difficult to find this place. Although the current Dragon sect had only been established for a few days, there were already thousands of disciples, not including the Sound of Thunder sect. Longao was very strict with the disciples of the Ghost sect. This matter was left to Dugu Bai. No matter what, as the master of the Dragon sect, there were still many things that he had to do. His expression changed. At this moment, Longao realized that his body was enveloped by a terrifying aura. He did not dare to be careless because he already knew who this person was. His figure had already jumped out. He did not even have the time to say anything to Dugu Bai. At the peak of the mountain, my good disciple, you really did not disappoint me. Not bad, not bad. In a short 3 months, not only did you destroy the Blood Sea sect, you even destroyed the other 3 major sects and fought against the Ghost King sect. I did not misjudge you. Looking at Long Jing in front of him, who was actually a demon, Longao felt a headache coming on. Demon, when did I say that I wanted to take you as my master? Whether you are willing or not, I am your master. This matter is settled. Kid, do you really think that you can dominate Tianzhou? Longao did not speak. He also wanted to hear what the demon was going to say next. Kid, this time you destroyed the other 3 major sects and dominated Tianzhou with the Ghost King sect. However, you have unknowingly provoked the Imperial City. I believe that you should know what kind of existence the Imperial City is. Even if I don't say more, I believe that the Imperial City will not let the Dragon sect go. Do you believe me? Whether the Imperial City will let the Dragon sect go or not, what does that have to do with you? Longao did not dare to move. No matter what, the demon's soul was in Long Jing's body. If he was not careful, Long Jing's soul would be damaged. Because of this, Longao could only endure. Kid, as long as you take me as your master, I can guarantee that not only the Imperial City, even the other 3 major forces will not dare to bully the Dragon sect. How about it? Longao had never understood the demon's strength. However, according to Long Fu, the demon in front of him was a super existence that was above the void realm. As for what kind of existence it was, Longao still did not know. In the void realm, the World Emperor was the supreme existence. The demon was above the World Emperor. Just thinking about it, one could imagine how terrifying the demon's strength was. Longao did not dwell on this issue because he knew very well in his heart that with his current strength, he did not have the qualifications to know. Even if he knew, it would only be detrimental to his cultivation and would not benefit him at all. Kid, don't say that I didn't give you a chance. I will ask you one last time. Take me as your master and I will help the Dragon sect become the #1 sect in the 9 states. Otherwise, not only you, but everyone in the Dragon sect and Long family will die today. Family. Hearing the demon mention his family, Longao's face instantly turned gloomy. Family was Longao's weakness. No one was allowed to touch it, even if he knew the demon's strength. No matter what, the demon was still a spiritual existence. Its strength was not as strong as the main body. However, Longao did not dare to act rashly. Even if he could leave, what about his family? In front of such a powerful cultivator, how many people in his family could resist? Seeing that Longao didn't speak, The evil spirit laughed and said, "Brat, if it wasn't for the fact that your innate talent is not bad, you also want to acknowledge me as your master? What a joke. If that's the case, why don't you find someone else? I believe that in the 9 states, there are many people with more talent than me. Why do you keep pestering me?" Longao was depressed to the extreme. He did not know what the demon meant. Could it be that he was handsome? Even if he was handsome, he had already made it clear that he was not willing to take him as his master. However, the demon still kept pestering him. It was really a pain in the ass. Ha ha ha, all right. Since you don't want to take me as your master, I won't force you. Hand over the dragon seal, and the little guy and I will leave immediately. P.S. The 10th chapter will be delivered at 1 a.m. Little 9 will stay up all night tonight. The 10th chapter will be uploaded at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Chapter 321. Dragon Seal? Little Fella? Whether it was the dragon seal or the little fella, Longao could not hand them over. Otherwise, he would not have dragged it on until now. I've already said that I won't hand over the dragon seal and the little fella to you. Let me give you a piece of advice. You'd better give up. Ha ha ha. Without any anger, the demon suddenly laughed. Kid, I'll let you know the consequences of being arrogant. At this moment, a terrifying aura exploded from the demon's body and directly suppressed him. However, at this moment, an even more terrifying aura appeared and directly collided with the demon's aura. Qilin. Looking at the sudden appearance of the giant fire Qilin, the demon's face instantly darkened. He never expected that a fire Qilin would suddenly appear in the dragon sect. Moreover, the aura that the fire Qilin emitted was clearly not inferior to his. The Qilin clan was comparable to the Dragon clan and was one of the strongest clans in the world. Get out of the Dragon sect. From now on, you're not allowed to take a step into the Dragon sect. Otherwise, you'll be killed without mercy. At this moment, the fire Qilin was also very nervous because it was heavily injured. Not to mention a super powerhouse like the demon, even a venerable could probably kill it. However, the fire Qilin's aura was there for all to see. It was this aura that scared off Xiafeng and Aotian back then. The demon's face was extremely gloomy as he took 3 steps back. If his original body was here, the demon would not be afraid of the fire Qilin at all. However, the problem now was that he did not exist in his original body. He existed in a soul state, and his strength was greatly reduced. Longao, if you don't hand over the dragon seal and the little fella, I'll instantly destroy the owner of this body. Believe it or not. Ha ha ha, demon, there's no need to threaten me here. If you dare to hurt this girl, I'll definitely kill you even if I have to run to the ends of the world. If it was an ordinary threat, the demon would not care at all. However, the fire Qilin was different. After all, the fire Qilin's strength was there for all to see. Longao, you win. However, don't be too proud. I won't stop here. I'd like to see how you'll face the rank 3 Long family later. Ha ha ha. Although the evil spirit was very afraid of the fire Qilin, it had full confidence in its speed. In the blink of an eye, the evil spirit's body had disappeared without a trace. Longao, this person is very strong. With my current strength, I am not his opponent at all. Fortunately, he is very afraid of me, so I have temporarily scared him away. Longao heaved a sigh of relief. There was no need for the fire Qilin to say anything more. He naturally knew how terrifying the strength of an evil spirit was. It was above that of a world king. Longao could also guess that the fire Qilin's strength should be on the same level as the evil demon. However, the fire Qilin was seriously injured, and its strength was not even 30% of its original strength. Regardless, the fire Qilin's aura was still quite terrifying, scaring off the evil spirit. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Longao didn't say anything. His mind was in a mess because Long Jing still hadn't been rescued. Who knew when the evil spirit would deal with Long Jing? The evil spirit's matter made Longao hesitate a lot. The Dragon sect destroyed 3 sects, and the Sound of Thunder sect split into 2. They each went to the Ghost King sect and the Dragon sect. This way, there were no more 6 sects in Tianzhou. There were only 2 new overlords. One was the Dragon Sect, and the other was the Ghost King Sect. The other 8 states didn't continue to watch the show in Tianzhou because the imperial city had already interfered. As one of the 4 overlords of the 9 states, the 8 states naturally knew what the imperial city's sudden appearance meant. Since the imperial city could enter Tianzhou, then they could dominate the 8 states. As the power of the 8 states, it was obvious whether the 8 states were willing or not. From the beginning to the end, Longao was betting that the imperial city wouldn't attack the Dragon Sect. After all, the imperial city still had 3 strong opponents. If they acted rashly, they would be restricted everywhere. Wouldn't that be very passive? The imperial city wasn't stupid. Of course, they wouldn't do anything stupid. 1 month later. Senior, please. Fang Hong personally came to find Longao. Longao didn't delay. As a martial artist, honesty was the most important thing. This was the agreement between him and Fang Hong. No matter how the 3rd-level Dragon Sect would deal with him, he would go to the 3rd-level Dragon Sect. On the way. Longao, you're really good. In just 1 month, you've made the Dragon Sect one of the overlords of Tianzhou. Your future is limitless. Longao shrugged helplessly. He had a good impression of the celestial venerate beside him. He said, Senior, you must be joking. As everyone knows, the real overlords of the 9 states are the East Royal City, the Long family of the West, the Netherworld Mansion of the South, and the Ethereal Palace of the North. Ha ha ha, Longao, you don't have to be like this. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Fang Hong continued, Longao, your talent is the strongest I've ever seen. Even in the family, you can be ranked first. But you're too reckless. Remember, if you show off, something will happen. Longao didn't say anything. He just walked and listened. You destroyed the 3 major sects and ended the battle quickly. It's not a big deal. But the imperial city is obviously going to enter Tianzhou. It's a bit reckless for you to choose to rise at this time. Moreover, the sect you established is called the Dragon Sect. It's a taboo for the Long family. You'll be attacked from both sides. How could Longao not know what the Sky Sovereign was talking about? Senior, a man should stand between heaven and earth. As long as he thinks it's right, he should do it. Even if it's a narrow escape, I won't regret my actions. If I win this battle, I'll have a place in Tianzhou, or even in the 9 states. If I lose, I'll just die. Hearing this, Fang Hong said with praise, You're right. But there are very few people who can do this. Longao, when you go to the family this time, remember one thing? Don't admit that you're a dragon warrior even if you're beaten to death. Someone will verify it later. I'll teach you a way. I hope you can avoid this. Feeling grateful, Longao asked, Senior, why are you helping me? You're a talent. As long as you don't die, I'm sure you'll become a great person in the future. I look forward to that day. Longao, when you go to the family this time, you just have to be careful of one person. Who? Longao was very curious. Could it be that Fang Hong really saw him as a talent and didn't want him to die? It seemed a bit far-fetched. But since things had come to this point, it was a good thing to have someone to give him pointers. Great Elder. In my Long family, the Great Elder is also known as the Law-Enforcing Elder. He's in charge of everyone's punishment. He's a good person, but he's a bit, so you just have to be careful of him. Chapter 322. Longao nodded, remembering the Great Elder in his heart. Rank 3 Long family, one of the 4 hegemons of the 9 states. They were also known as the head of the 4 hegemons. The reason was simple. A rank 3 Long family member could enter the Dragon Valley and become a dragon warrior. Without a doubt, the rank 3 Long family had many dragon warriors. However, these dragon warriors were considered friends by the Long family. Normally, they would be kept in the family and would not be released. The 4 hegemons of the 9 states were the Imperial City in the east, the rank 3 Long family in the west, the Nether Mansion in the south, and the Ethereal Palace in the north. Longao followed Fang Hong to the west and came to a valley. The surroundings were very secluded, and even the sun did not bother to appear here. One could imagine how bad the environment here was. However, the 2 of them were strong enough to ignore the surroundings. Longao asked curiously, Senior, is the rank 3 Long family here? Shaking his head, Fong Hong smiled and said, "They are not here. However, our Long family and the other 3 hegemons have set up a formation that can teleport us to the 9 states spirit domain." 9 states spirit domain? Where is this place? As if he could see Longao's doubts, Fong Hong smiled and said, "Let me tell you about the 9 states spirit domain and the 4 hegemons." Longao nodded his head. What Longao wanted to know the most right now was about the 4 major powers, especially about the rank 3 Long family. From what he knew, the Long family had countless branches and were divided into 9 ranks. Rank 9 was the lowest and rank 1 was the highest. Rank 3 and above Long family members could enter the Dragon Valley and become dragon warriors. Other than this, Longao knew nothing. The 9 prefectures continent is divided into 2 spaces. The lower space is the so-called ordinary spirit domain, and the upper space is known as the 9 prefectures spirit domain. The spirit energy of the 9 prefectures spirit domain far surpasses that of the ordinary spirit domain. F***CK Longao, who never liked to swear, could not help but curse in his heart when he heard this. He really did not know that the 9 states continent was divided into upper and lower spirit domains. You should know about the normal spirit realm. As for the spirit realm of the 9 states, it is divided into 4 large plates, which are occupied by 4 great forces. They are the Imperial City in the east, the 3rd rank Long family in the west, the Nether Mansion in the south, and the Ethereal Palace in the north. The 4 great forces all want to destroy each other so that they can dominate the spirit realm of the 9 states. As a result, it has been 20 years since the last war. If there are no accidents, the war will start again soon. Longao wasn't surprised by this at all. Senior, since the 3rd rank Long family can dominate a quarter of the spirit domain of the 9 states, then what about the 2nd and 1st rank Long families? With a mysterious smile, Fong Hong did not mention anything about the rank 1 and rank 2 Long family. Instead, he said, the Dragon Clan is divided into 9 ranks. As a rank 6 disciple of the Long family, you do not have the qualifications to become a dragon warrior. Therefore, when you go to the family this time, you must insist that you are not a dragon warrior. Otherwise, you will be killed by the family. Longao had already thought of this. The Long clan had a rule that only rank 3 clan disciples and above were qualified to enter the Dragon Valley to obtain a partner and become a dragon warrior. Other than that, no matter what rank the Long clan disciple was, as long as he was a dragon warrior, he would be killed without mercy. Although Longao already knew this, he was still very curious. As long as the other disciples did not enter the Dragon Valley, it was fine. Why did he care how they became a dragon warrior? A dog catching a mouse is a busybody. Senior, there is one thing I don't understand. As long as the disciples of the Long family below the 4th rank do not enter the Dragon Valley, there is no problem even if they become a dragon warrior. Why is the Long family so ruthless? Longao continued to ask, the more dragon warriors there are, the better it is for the Long family. Longao could not understand. What was the benefit of the Long family killing their own disciples? Longao, I have to admit that the Long family is indeed selfish. After all, there are too many branches in the Long family. It is inevitable that there will be super geniuses in the branches, such as you and Longbatian. Once these super geniuses grow up, they will not be controlled by the Long family. If it was you, what would you do? Longao sighed deeply. Long family's actions were undeniable. In order to protect the Long family, there was nothing wrong with the actions of the Long family. However, if the Long family was more magnanimous, the overall strength of the Long family could be improved. However, it should be known that the branches of the Long clan were all over the place. Instead of making good use of such a terrifying strength, they had harmed their own clansmen. Longao was almost certain that such a clan would not continue to prosper in the future. Longao, remember this sentence. As long as you can live, then everything else is not important. Senior, you know Longbatian? Fong Hong nodded and said guiltily, it was all thanks to Senior Baishan's guidance that I could become a heavenly lord. However, I did not expect that Senior would be killed by the Long family. Sigh. Longao finally understood why Fong Hong would take such good care of him. Previously, when he delayed for a month, Fong Hong agreed without hesitation. Now, It was obvious that Feng Hong was helping him. It was all because of the old ancestor, Long Batian. Longao could almost affirm that this old ancestor of his was a peerless powerhouse. You are Senior Batian's descendant. I was unable to save him back then, but I will take care of his descendants. Your talent and character are very similar to Senior Batian's. Therefore, I do not wish for you to be reckless and repeat the same mistake. Long Ao nodded. How could he not know about Feng Hong's worries? However, was this something he could control? Without a doubt, once he entered the third-grade Long family, no matter what happened, it was not something he could control. He could only try his best to stay alive. After all, no one was willing to throw their lives away. Long Ao, if Batian had not shown off his abilities back then, I believe he would have become a peerless expert by now. Sigh. Hearing Feng Hong's deep sigh, Long Ao did not know what to feel. No matter what, if the old ancestor had not been killed by the Long family, he believed that the family would be in a different state now. All of this was thanks to the Long family. It would be a lie to say that he did not hate the Long family. It was because of this that Long Ao did not want to be controlled by the Long family. Thus, he established his own power, the Dragon Sect. In the future, he would personally lead his Dragon Sect to surpass the Long family. All right, the formation has been activated. Remember, do not tell anyone about the formation. Otherwise, you will definitely die. Understood. Long Ao was also shocked. He did not expect the formation to be so powerful that it could allow people to teleport. Chapter 323. The 9 continents of the Tianwu continent were divided into 2 large spaces, the normal spirit domain and the 9 continents spirit domain. The 9 continents spirit domain was divided into 4 large plates, the East Plate, the West Plate, the South Plate, and the North Plate. The 4 superpowers had their own plates, the East Imperial City in the East Plate, the Rank 3 Long family in the West Plate, the Nether Mansion in the South Plate, and the Misty Palace in the North Plate. The 4 superpowers dominated the entire 9 continents spirit domain, and no one could shake their position. Under the 4 superpowers, there were many smaller forces. However, if these small forces were placed in any of the 9 continents, they would surpass the 6 great sections. This was the terror of the 9 continents spirit domain. The Rank 3 Long family was the local tyrant of the 4 plates. If the Long family said 1, no one would dare to say 2. This was the authority of the Long family, and no one dared to provoke them. The Rank 3 Long family was located in the most luxurious area of the West Plate, occupying an area of tens of thousands of mu. Even if one walked in slowly, it would take 3 days and 3 nights. One could imagine how big the Long family was. Looking at the Rank 3 Long family in front of him, Long Ao was completely defeated. Long family branches, but looking at the Rank 3 Long family, just the residence alone was not something his family could compare to. This was only the Rank 3 Long family, then what about the Rank 2 and Rank 1 Long family? Long Ao, do you remember what I said? Nodding, Long Ao replied, I remember. Follow me. Long Ao followed behind Feng Hong and entered the Long family's courtyard without any obstruction. Long Ao was very clear that without Feng Hong's guidance, he would not have been able to enter by himself. Feng Hong was not a member of the Long family, but he married a woman of the Long family and became the son-in-law of the Long family. Moreover, he was doing well and could be considered a small team leader of the Enforcement Celestial. The Great Hall could accommodate more than 1,000 people and was extremely grand and luxurious. After receiving the news that Long Ao had entered the Long family, everyone was very curious. After all, families below rank 4 had a rule that stated that no one could become a dragon warrior. Who was it that dared to violate the rule of a Long family? Long family, main hall. There were only 2 people in the hall, sitting at the head of the table and the vice head of the table. They were the 2 people with the highest authority in the Long clan. One was the clan leader of the Long clan, Long Maoan, and the other was the law enforcement elder of the Long clan, Long Yin. Long Yin, the law enforcement elder of the Long clan, was a very sinister person. As long as a disciple of the Long clan made a mistake, no matter who it was, once they fell into Long Yan's hands, even if they did not die, they would lose a layer of fart. It was precisely because of this that everyone in the Long family was more afraid of this law enforcement elder than the patriarch. The two of them had just stepped into the lobby. Longao's face froze. He didn't know why, but when he stepped into the level 3 Long clan's main hall, his whole body trembled. It was as if something was calling out to him. What a magical feeling. Longao did not dare to reveal the slightest flaw. No matter what, he had come to the rank 3 Long family this time to accept the matter of the Dragon Warrior. If the rank 3 Long family caught him, it would be much more difficult for him to return to his family. As the saying goes, a wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. No matter what, this place is still a 3rd rank Long family. Patriarch, Grand Elder, Longao has arrived, and you've worked hard. Go and rest. Fong Hong was respectful, not daring to show the slightest bit of carelessness. After a sound of acknowledgement, Fong Hong slowly retreated. Outside the hall, without turning around, Fong Hong prayed in his heart, "Senior, this is all I can do. Whether or not he can come out alive will depend on his luck." Inside the main hall, the entire main hall was silent. Long Ao did not speak. Long Maoan and Long Yin did not speak either. Both sides stared at each other, as if trying to see through each other. 3 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Both Long Maoan and Long Yin were shocked when they realized that Long Ao did not move at all. Even his expression did not change. "Long Ao, do you know your crime?" "I don't know. What crime have I committed?" Looking at the neither servile nor overbearing youth, especially the youth's blood-red hair and 2 blood-red eyebrows, the two of them were curious. But Long Yin's face turned cold. "You privately raised a giant dragon and became a dragon warrior. Do you not want to admit it?" Just as expected, just as Fong Hong had said, this rank 3 law enforcement elder of the Long family was really difficult to deal with. He had just arrived and had already gone straight to the point. Damn. Long Ao still had a neither servile nor overbearing expression as he stood there and said indifferently, "I'm not a dragon warrior and I don't have a dragon companion," refusing to admit it was a method that Fong Hong had taught Long Ao. According to Fong Hong, as long as he insisted that he was not a dragon warrior, then even the Long family would not be able to do anything to him. Long family had a written rule that disciples of the Long family below rank 4 could not become a dragon warrior. Once discovered, they would be killed without mercy. But without solid evidence, even the rank 3 Long family would not dare to casually harm other disciples of the Long family. Because of this, Long Ao had already decided that no matter what happened, he would not admit it. In any case, Long Chong was in the dragon seal space. He did not believe that anyone could sense Long Chong's aura from his body. Not a dragon warrior? Long Yan's expression was ice cold. He did not believe it at all. He coldly said, "For months ago, when you fought with the Blood Sea sect, countless people saw you summon a black dragon. Are you trying to deny it?" "Great Elder, I only want to say one thing. I'm not a dragon warrior. If I were a dragon warrior, I wouldn't be standing here waiting for death." Long Ao was speechless. Both of them knew that if Long Ao was really a dragon warrior, then why would he send himself to death when he clearly knew that there was only death for him, unless his brain was flooded with water? "Long Ao, since you say that you're not a dragon warrior, then do you dare to release your soul? Don't resist and let me check you. How about it?" "No." Without even thinking, Long Ao directly refused. What kind of joke was this? If he did not resist and allowed Long Yan's soul to enter his soul to search, then if Long Yan played some tricks, even if he did not die, it would be very troublesome. Most importantly, he did not believe Long Yan or anyone from the Long family. If that's the case, then you're a so-called dragon warrior, yet you're still quibbling here. "Great Elder, if I told you not to resist and let me enter your soul to search, would you be willing?" Of course not. Long Yin was not a fool. Although he was a supreme expert, his soul was still weak. It was better to be safe than sorry. If Long Yin had some tricks up his sleeve, then he would not even know how he died. "Great Elder, if you were in my shoes, you wouldn't be willing, let alone me. I'm not stupid, and I don't want to die here for no reason. I'll say it again, I'm not a dragon warrior. It has nothing to do with me." Chapter 324. Long Ao's denial was something that Long Yin and Long Maoan had never expected. Long Ao, you don't need to quibble. Many people have seen you summon the Black Dragon. Do you really want to deny it? If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. His face was full of contempt as he mocked. Long family is divided into 9 levels. I'm only a disciple of the 6th level Long family. Since the 3rd level Long family has already taken the blame for me, does it matter if I admit it or not? Impudent. Long Yin's body suddenly erupted with a shocking aura that directly suppressed Long Ao. Gotcha. Long Ao was directly suppressed to the point of kneeling. His heart was shocked. What a terrifying aura. Long Ao could almost conclude that the strength of the great elder in front of him was above that of a heavenly venerable. Could it be a great elder, world king, or a world emperor? Long Yin also didn't expect things to develop to this point. According to his previous plan, since everyone had seen Long Ao admit it, he would directly kill him. Even if the Long family investigated, he would have an explanation. But now, Long Ao actually didn't admit it. This matter was indeed a bit tricky. If he really wronged him, it would be very troublesome. If he killed Long Ao silently, it wouldn't be a problem at all. But now, everyone knew that the 3rd level Long family had summoned Long Ao. Even if the family wanted to hide it, it was impossible. Could it be that he had to forcefully search his soul? It was better to be safe than sorry. If he couldn't find anything, wouldn't it be very embarrassing? I thought that the 3rd level Long family was a fair place. Now that we meet, it's really better to meet in person. I admire you. Hearing Long Ao's sarcastic words, Long Yin's face was gloomy to the extreme. Snorting coldly, Long Yin said angrily, "Humph, as the 3rd level Long family's law enforcement elder, I have always been impartial and never wronged a good person. You beast, you're obviously a dragon warrior. Not only do you not admit your mistake, but you refuse to admit it. It seems like you don't put my Long family in your eyes." Ha ha ha, is this what you call impartiality? Impartiality? What a great law enforcement elder. If you can bring out the evidence, I'll kill myself. But if you want to slander me, I'm sorry. Even if I die, I won't accept it. Long Ao was not a fool. Of course, he knew that the other party was not completely confident. Otherwise, he would have been killed the moment he entered the Long family's main hall. He would not have said so much nonsense. Long Ao was even more aware that he absolutely could not shrink back, otherwise he would die without a doubt. At this time, the hall was filled with people. Everyone wanted to see how strong a disciple from an ordinary spirit realm was. He was even a dragon martial practitioner. Long family. Although rank 3 and above disciples of the Long family could enter the Dragon Valley to obtain a dragon companion and become a dragon warrior, not everyone could become a dragon warrior. The probability was 1 in 1,000, or even 1 in 10,000. One could imagine how difficult it was to become a dragon warrior. This person is really awesome. He actually dared to talk back to the Great Elder. He really doesn't know what's good for him. You may not know, but I've already asked around. This person is called Long Ao. He originally came from a small rank 9 Long family. For some reason, he was unable to condense his inner strength at first and became a useless person. After persevering for 10 years, he finally got his reward. This person spoke very excitedly, as if he was Long Ao. 4 months ago, this person single-handedly slaughtered the entire Blood Sea sect. It said that not only did he kill 10 venerables, he even killed 3 supremes and fought against an earth venerable. Is that true? Long Ao's deeds seemed to be very hard to believe. After all, it was too heaven-defying. It's true. In the end, Long Ao slaughtered the 5 great sections. Maybe because the slaughter was too great, he was swallowed and turned into a killing tool. In the end, he was thrown into the blood pool. If that's the case, then why is this person standing here? Who knows? I only know that this person was suddenly reborn a month later and resisted the 100 tribulations. After successfully passing the tribulation, he became a venerable void. Venerable void? Although everyone did not believe Long Ao's deeds, Long Ao's strength could not be faked. If this person was really the venerable void, then according to this child's age, with such talent, Not to mention the low-level Long family. Even if placed in the third-level Long family, he would still be a first-class existence. However, an identity was an identity. It was something that could not be changed. This was like two people with great differences in talent. Long family would result in a completely different result if the person with poor talent was born in a normal family. Sometimes, one's birth would determine one's achievements. No matter how arrogant this person is, whether or not he is a martial artist of the dragon realm, just treating an elder like this is a crime punishable by death. Long family was divided into 9 ranks. From lowest to highest, they were rank 9 Long family, rank 8 Long family, rank 7 Long family, rank 6 Long family, rank 5 Long family, rank 4 Long family, rank 3 Long family, rank 2 Long family, and rank 1 Long family. Longao was only a rank 6 disciple of the Long family, but Long Yin was a rank 3 law enforcing elder of the Long family. Not to mention their strength, just their status alone was not on the same level. Longao. According to the rules of the Long family, if you become a martial artist of the dragon realm without permission, you will be crippled of your cultivation and killed without mercy. Long Yin showed no mercy, as if the person in front of him was already a dead person. Originally, if you had obediently admitted to it this time around, I would have only crippled your cultivation, seeing that you're quite a character. But now, even if I can't kill you, you must cut off your own arms and cripple your cultivation. Otherwise, I will kill you without mercy. So ruthless. Long Ao cursed in his heart. He knew very well that Long Yin did not have any evidence to convict him. However, things had already reached this stage. If he left successfully, what would happen to Long Yin's reputation? What would happen to the Long family's reputation? Long Ao could imagine that if he really broke his own arms and crippled his cultivation, even if he could leave the spirit domain of the 9 states, returning to the ordinary spirit domain would be a dead end. Not to mention others, just the imperial city alone would not let him go. Strength, sect power. Long Ao could clearly feel that he was in a passive position today because his fist was not strong enough. His sect was not strong enough. Otherwise, would the rank 3 Long family dare to do this? Humph, Long Ao. Even if you do not admit that you are a martial artist of the dragon realm, you established your own sect and named it the Dragon Sect. Just based on this point, I can break your arms and cripple your cultivation. Long family will not blame me if they know this. All of this is caused by your arrogance. You can't blame anyone else. If you know what's good for you, accept it obediently. Otherwise, Chapter 325. Although Long Yin did not finish his words, the meaning of his words was very clear. Break his arms and cripple his cultivation. Man. Hearing the elder's call, an ordinary disciple with a wretched appearance, a cultivator from the 100 scatter heaven, ran in and knelt on the ground. He said respectfully, Disciple Zhou Qing greets elder. Cripple this person's arms. Seeing that Long Ao did not move, Long Yin could only order his men to do it. As for him, he could not do it himself. No matter what, his status was there. Yes, elder. Zhou Qing's strength and talent were not bad, but he liked to bully others. He was a typical bully. If he met someone stronger than him, he would only flatter them. But if he met someone weaker than him, then sorry, he was completely unlucky. Zhou Qing saw that Long Ao did not dare to resist, so he took the initiative to volunteer. Otherwise, would he dare to do it? Just now, someone had said that Long Ao was a venerable. How could a mere Xiantian realm cultivator dare to break the arms of a venerable? He was simply courting death. Zhou Qing sneered and came to Long Ao's side. He looked coldly at the young man in front of him, especially that head of blood-red hair. He was inexplicably unhappy. Laughing mockingly, Zhou Qing said contemptuously, How dare you talk back to the elder? You're really courting death. I've never broken the arms of a venerable in my life. I wonder how it feels. Kid, have you tried it before? A dog relying on its master's power. You dare to scold me? Zhou Qing was a little confused. He really could not understand why the young man in front of him was still so arrogant. Did he really think that he was invincible? So what if I scold you? For a dog like you who relies on its master's power to bully others, living is a waste of space. I advise you to quickly go back and find a bitch. You're courting death." Zhou Qing was furious. He did not expect that in such a situation where he would definitely die, the other party still dared to insult him. Not to mention breaking the other party's arms, it would not be a problem to kill him directly. It was precisely because of this that Zhou Qing did not want to cut off the other party's arms. It was obvious that he wanted the other party's life. No matter what, Zhou Qing was still a 100 scatter heaven martial artist. His speed was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, he had already closed the distance. At some point in time, 2 short blades had already appeared in Zhou Qing's hands. Outside the main hall, many people despised Zhou Qing. It wasn't that they had feelings for Longao, but they couldn't stand Zhou Qing's shamelessness. He bullied the weak and feared the strong. If Longao wasn't restricted by his family, not to mention one Zhou Qing, even 1,000 Zhou Qings wouldn't dare to do this. Longao did not move and allowed Zhou Qing to come to his side. Courting death. Zhou Qing was overjoyed when he saw that the other party was really not moving. He did not use his short saber. After all, with his strength, even if he used his palm instead of a saber, it would be very easy for him to kill Longao. Thump, thump. Zhou Qing exerted all his strength with his palms. Just when everyone thought that Longao was definitely going to die, a scream was heard. Then, Zhou Qing's body flew backward and fell heavily to the ground. He immediately fainted. There was a burst of exclamations. No one believed that Longao actually dared to fight back under such circumstances. This was completely challenging the family's authority. If this could be tolerated, what could be tolerated? Longao, you dare to fight back? 2 disciples had already entered and carried the unconscious Zhou Qing away. From the beginning to the end, Zhou Qing did not know what had happened. Anyway, he only knew one thing, and that was that the other party's body was incomparably hard, even harder than a rock. 3rd grade Long family. This is the so-called 3rd grade Long family. Long Yan's face was gloomy to the extreme. It was as ugly as it could get because he never thought that Longao's body would be so strong. Even Bai Santian was unable to break through the other party's physical defense. Under normal circumstances, as long as a venerable was willing to turn his power into a shield, even if he stood still and allowed 100 scatter heaven to smash and kick him, nothing would happen. However, the situation was the opposite. Of course, Long Yin could clearly sense that Longao did not use any power just now. In other words, the other party relied solely on his physical defense and forcefully withstood it. It was because of this that Long Yin could not figure out how Longao did it. After all, even a venerable could not do this. Longao, you dare to hurt my Long family's people? With a cold snort, Longao said mockingly, if you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. Do you think that if I stand still and let you break my arms and cripple my cultivation, you can just let me stand still? Long Yin seemed to want to say something, but he was stopped by Long Maoan, who had been silent all this while. Long Maoan said indifferently, Longao, I've already sensed it just now. There is indeed no trace of dragon aura on your body. You're also not some dragon martial art practitioner. Hearing his master's words, Long Yin was shocked. He did not know what was wrong with his master. Why would he help this person out of nowhere? Longao, although you're not a dragon martial art practitioner, the sect you've established is called the Dragon Sect. This is obviously a provocation to the Long family. Just based on this point alone, breaking your arms and crippling your cultivation is not too much, is it? After despising him in his heart, Longao finally realized that it was almost impossible for him to leave alive after entering the level 3 Long family. This was because the Long family was obviously looking for trouble. How could they let him leave? Master, I would like to say a few words. I wonder if it's okay? Long Maoan seemed to be very surprised, but he still nodded. This was because he also wanted to hear what the other party wanted to say. Master, I've come to the level 3 Long family this time because of the dragon martial art practitioner, right? That's right. All right, since you've already said that I'm not a dragon martial art practitioner, then I'm not guilty. Since I'm not guilty, can I leave? Longao, You don't have to explain. I'll give you a chance to convince me. Otherwise, you'll definitely die today. All right. You said that the sect I've established is called the Dragon Sect. This is a provocation to the Long family. I'd like to ask, is there any rule in the Long family that forbids the disciples of the Long family from establishing their own sect and taking on the name Dragon Sect? Both Long Maoan and Long Yin were speechless. After all, they were already in the wrong. However, things had already come to this point. If they let Long Ao leave, the Long family would lose a lot of face. Because of this, Long Maoan and Long Yin had a tacit understanding. This time, regardless of the reason, they would kill Long Ao, a disciple of a level 6 family. They believed that even if a level 1 family found out about this, nothing would happen. This was why Long Maoan and Long Yin were fearless. If Long Ao's status was higher, the two of them would not dare to do this. Chapter 326. I don't accept your explanation. If Long Maoan accepted it, there would be a problem. With regards to this, Long Ao had already guessed it. Moreover, he already understood in his heart that this time, no matter what kind of explanation he gave, only death awaited him. Since that was the case, why would he still seek trouble for himself? Long Ao, you established the Dragon Sect without permission and provoked the Long family. As the leader of the rank 3 Long family, I will break your arms and cripple your cultivation. If you dare to resist, you will be killed without mercy. As he spoke, 2 heavenly venerables came in, including Feng Hong. Feng Hong's expression was ugly. Although he already knew what would happen to Long Ao, he couldn't bear to do it himself. He felt sorry for the tyrant body senior. Break his arms and cripple his cultivation, then throw him out. Long Yan's voice was cold and emotionless. Everyone seemed to be used to it and didn't feel anything. Long Ao, I'm sorry. Long Ao didn't answer because he didn't know how to. No matter what, it wasn't Feng Hong's fault. After all, Feng Hong had a low status in the rank 3 Long family and had no right to speak. The powerful aura of the 2 heavenly venerables had suppressed Long Ao. Just as the other heavenly venerate was about to make a move, Feng Hong suddenly struck the top of the other heavenly venerate's head. Caught off guard, the heavenly venerate was killed. In an instant, Long Ao knew what had happened. He immediately sent the heavenly venerate's soul into the dragon seal space and turned to leave with Feng Hong. But at this time, Long Yin had already made his move. Before he arrived, a wave of airflow had already enveloped the two of them. Feng Hong was shocked. He knew how powerful the heavenly venerables were. Pushing Long Ao away, Feng Hong said, "Let's go." As he spoke, Feng Hong chose to self-destruct. If not for Long Maoan and Long Yin joining forces, the Long family's main hall would have been destroyed. This was the terrifying power of a heavenly venerate's self-destruction. Long Ao left the Long family's main hall successfully, but at the cost of Feng Hong's life. Outside the hall, everyone was blocking and preparing to attack. At this moment, Long Ao had already rushed out with the blood-sucking blade in his hand. Before he arrived, the blade light had already slashed down fiercely. They all stepped aside. Even so, Long Ao's slash still killed a few people. In the blink of an eye, Long Ao's figure had disappeared without a trace. In the lobby, now that things had come to this, the two of them had ugly expressions on their faces, especially Long Yin. As the law enforcement elder of the Long family, not only did he fail to enforce the law, he even let the other party escape. If this matter were to spread out, where would his face go? What would happen to the family's reputation? Master, I'll immediately send out an announcement to hunt down this kid. Nodding his head, Dragon Insurmountable said coldly, "Announce to the world that anyone who can capture this person will be handsomely rewarded. Even if there is no fire, I will still die." Got it. Someone spread the news of Long Ao causing trouble in the rank 3 Long family, and it instantly spread throughout the spirit domain of the 9 states. Following that, the rank 3 Long family announced to the world that they were going to hunt down Long Ao. At this point, everyone finally believed that Long Ao had really caused trouble in the rank 3 Long family. Many people were unwilling to believe that this was true. No matter what, The rank 3 Long family was one of the 4 overlords, and Longao was just a small venerable. If a venerable could casually cause trouble in an overlord, then this world was a little too crazy. The truth was right in front of everyone's eyes, and they couldn't help but believe it. As the saying goes, when there is a great reward, there will be brave men. The Long family's conditions were very good, and because of this, the entire spirit domain of the 9 states began to search for Longao's traces, wanting to obtain the great reward of the rank 3 Long family. Spirit domain of the 9 states, somewhere inside the dragon seal space. Long Fu, how long will it take to refine this heavenly venerate? Longao felt very guilty that Feng Hong had sacrificed himself to save him, but Longao did not act rashly. No matter what happened, the rank 3 Long family's strength was there for all to see. It was impossible for him to shake the rank 3 Long family with his own strength. This time, Longao planned to refine the heavenly venerate that Feng Hong had killed into a soul slave. No matter what, he was still a venerable, and there was still a big gap between him and a heavenly venerate. Once he refined it into a soul slave, he would have something to rely on to protect himself. Master, the blood pool's vitality was greatly damaged when it helped you refine a venerable soul slave, so if you want to continue refining a heavenly venerate soul slave, I estimate that it will take at least 7 days. 7 days was indeed nothing for a warrior, but for the current Longao, the longer he delayed, the more danger he would be in. Since Long Fu had said so, it seemed that refining a heavenly venerate soul slave would indeed take 7 days. After leaving the dragon seal space, Longao sat quietly on the peak of the mountain, overlooking the endless void in the distance. This time, entering the rank 3 Long family, not only did he almost lose his life, but he also caused the death of Feng Hong. Longao would not let this matter rest. Rank 3 Long family, one day, he would trample them. Longao's complexion was very dignified. Although he had successfully escaped from the 3rd rank Long family this time, no matter what, the 3rd rank Long family had already issued a kill order for him. If there was no accident, the current 9 regions spirit domain had already completely moved. No matter what, the 3rd rank Long family was still one of the 4 overlords of the 9 regions spirit domain. It would not be easy to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states. After thinking about it, Longao decided to temporarily stay in the spirit domain of the 9 states. It would not be too late to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states after the storm had passed. Kill order. The Long family had issued the most terrifying kill order in history. Moreover, they had joined forces with the other 3 major forces, the Imperial City, the Nether Mansion, and the Ethereal Palace. They swore to kill Longao even at the cost of their lives. In the spirit domain of the 9 states, the 4 overlords had been fighting openly and secretly for the position of overlord. However, after so many years, no overlord had been able to completely dominate the spirit domain of the 9 states. However, the rank 3 Long family clearly had the intention to kill this time. They had even paid a great price to invite the other 3 major forces to issue a kill order together and seal all the arrays. Not to mention Longao, even a fly would not be able to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states and return to the ordinary spirit domain. The 4 major forces, the Eastern Imperial City, the Western rank 3 Long family, the Southern Nether Mansion, and the Northern Ethereal Palace, had issued a kill order together. Such a thing was rarely seen in 100 years. All the forces were guessing what had happened, and why the 4 major forces had issued a kill order together. In just one day, Longao had caused a ruckus in the rank 3 Long family, and the 4 major forces had issued a kill order together, swearing to kill Longao. The news had spread throughout the spirit domain of the 9 states. Everyone was guessing who Longao was and why he could do such a shocking thing. Chapter 327. The 4 great powers had jointly issued a kill order, causing everyone to be extremely curious about Longao. Because of this, in just a day, Longao's identity was completely dug out. Longao, a disciple of the 9th level Long family in Scarlet Fire Town. He was known as the #1 genius in Scarlet Fire Town. For some reason, when Longao tried to break through to the 7th level of inner strength, he suddenly failed and fell from a genius to a trash. For 10 years, Longao endured all kinds of humiliation and mockery, but he still persevered. For 10 years, no one knew what kind of fortuitous encounter, but Longao rose up. In just a few months, his name spread from Scarlet Fire Town to 9 states, and he established his own force, Dragon Sect. Dragon Sect. Everyone knew that Longao's force was called Dragon Sect. Everyone thought that Longao was deliberately provoking the Long family. Long family, the strongest existence in the Sky Martial continent. For countless years, there had never been a force that dared to use the word Long. Regarding Longao, many people were full of expectations. After all, Longao was full of mystery and counterattacks. He had succeeded in counterattacking all the way. If he also succeeded in counterattacking this time, then it would definitely be a matter that would shake the continent. Thinking about it was just thinking, but everyone knew what it meant for the 4 forces to work together. The 4 forces of the spirit domain of the 9 states, the Imperial City in the east, the 3rd level Long family in the west, the Nether Mansion in the south, and the Ethereal Palace in the north, issued a kill order together. Instantly, all the arrays were closed. This time, if the 3rd level Longao issued a kill order for other things, the other 3 forces would not agree. It was already good enough that they did not come to cause trouble. How could they work together with the 3rd level Long family to issue a kill order? But the situation now was completely different. The 3rd level Long family used the whole Long family, saying that Longao was provoking the whole Long family. The other 3 forces could ignore the 3rd level Long family, but would they dare to ignore the Long family? The Imperial City, Nether Mansion, and Ethereal Palace did not dare to offend the Long family. Because of this, the 3 forces did not hesitate and issued a kill order. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Originally, the 4 superpowers had thought that they would be able to deal with Longao in just a few hours. However, 3 days had already passed, and they still hadn't found Longao. This caused the 4 superpowers to feel extremely depressed. They didn't know where Longao was hiding. 3rd level Long family, main hall. Elder, have you found Longao's whereabouts yet? No, Master. We have joined forces with the other 3 forces to issue a kill order. All the arrays have been closed. Longao can't leave the 9 region spirit domain. So I dare to say that Longao is still in the 9 region spirit domain. He is just hiding temporarily. Long Maoan nodded. Of course, he knew that Longao would not be able to leave the spirit realm of the 9 states. The 4 great forces had issued a kill order and sealed off all the formations. Unless Longao could fly, there was no way he could leave the spirit realm of the 9 states. Elder, dispatch all of the law enforcement heavenly exalts. Furthermore, gather the law enforcement heavenly exalts from the other 3 major powers. I refuse to believe that we won't be able to find this person. Master, are the other 3 major powers willing to do so? Don't worry. As long as the Long family keeps the Long family in check, the other 3 major powers won't dare to go against the Long family's decision. Long Yin nodded and left. In the next hour, all 4 major powers were mobilized. All the law enforcement heavenly exalts were split into 4 groups. They searched the 4 cardinal directions in the north, south, east, and west. The law enforcement heavenly exalts were the most terrifying existences among the 4 major powers. The 4 major powers controlled the 9-state spirit domain. It was inevitable that there would be people or forces that disobeyed them. It was because of this that the 4 major powers formed their own law enforcement teams. All of them were represented by heavenly exalts. Each force's law enforcement team had 20 heavenly exalts. In other words, the 4 major powers had a total of 80 law enforcement heavenly exalts. What kind of concept was that? In other words, all the law enforcement heavenly exalts of the 4 major powers added up to 80 heavenly exalts of the void. With such a powerful force mobilized just to find one person, everyone was looking forward to it. 3 days had passed, but Longao was still nowhere to be found. Otherwise, the 4 major powers wouldn't have mobilized all of their law enforcement heavenly exalts. No matter what Longao was like in the past, just this point alone was enough to make people admire him. Time passed bit by bit. 7 days passed quietly. After 7 days of not being able to find Longao, the other three major forces had already chosen to give up. According to the guesses of the three major forces, Longao had already left the 9 region spirit domain. Continuing to search like this was futile. The three major powers chose to give up, but the third-grade Long family didn't. They continued to search for Longao's whereabouts. They almost searched the entire 9-state spirit domain, but still found nothing. Could Longao have really left the 9-state spirit domain? Of course, Longao hadn't left. Instead, he was training, hoping that his cultivation could break through to the supremacy realm as soon as possible. The biggest difference between the Void Exalts and the Void Exalts was the golden core of the Void Exalts. It was very simple. If the Void Exalts wanted to break through to the Void Exalts, they first had to condense all of the spiritual energy in their body and form the golden core. It seemed simple, but it was actually very difficult. Countless people were stuck at this stage, unable to become a supremacy for the rest of their lives. Longao only had one thing to do now, and that was to condense the spiritual energy in his body and form the golden core. The eastern plate of the 9-state spirit domain, the largest spirit beast mountain range. Different regions of the spirit domain made the strength of the spirit beasts different. Longao entered the spirit beast mountain range and could casually encounter evolved spirit beasts. He even encountered spirit beasts of the Void Exalts, and they were all extremely powerful. There were even a few times when Longao was almost killed. Towering trees covered the sky and the sun. The entire spirit beast mountain range was retro. Longao sat cross-legged and quietly absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth around him. He forcibly condensed the spiritual energy in his body and prepared to form the golden core. It seemed like a very simple step, but it was extremely difficult to do. Since entering the spirit beast mountain range, an entire month had passed unknowingly. After a month of condensing the spiritual energy, Longao didn't know when he could successfully form the golden core and break through to the Void Exalts. At the top of a canyon, looking at the fog below, Longchong couldn't see the end of it. He didn't know why, but as soon as he arrived here, he kept calling out to him, wanting to go down and take a look. If he were a celestial lord, it would be fine. However, he was just a venerable and couldn't travel in the void. Once he jumped down, only death would await him. There was no other way. Longao knew that since Longchong insisted on going down, he had to go down even if he died. At this time, Longchong's huge body appeared. Longao smiled helplessly and jumped onto Longchong's body. He patted Longchong's head. Then, the man and dragon shot down to the bottom of the canyon. This was the first time Longao rode Longchong. The feeling was quite different, as if he was riding the clouds. Chapter 328. At the bottom of the canyon, white mist lingered around, making it impossible to see anything in the distance. Just as they reached the ground, Longchong was somewhat impatient. Longao was startled. He grabbed Longchong and said, "Leave it to me. Be good. Who knows where this place is? What if they encounter danger?" Forcefully suppressing Longchong, Longao followed Longchong's instructions and walked forward. After walking for an unknown amount of time, he arrived in front of a stone wall that was as smooth as water. At this time, Longao discovered that in front of him on his left, there was a winding and wide passage. It was 5 meters high and 4 meters wide. He couldn't see the end of it at a glance. He didn't know what was in the passage. Entering the passage, Longao shrugged helplessly. He had no idea what Longchong wanted to do. He could only carefully step into the passage and slowly walk toward it. 1 step, 2 steps. Longao was especially careful with every step. Because it was too dark, Longao couldn't see the situation in front of him. He could only rely on his warrior's senses to walk slowly. Light. Suddenly happy, Longao quickened his steps and walked toward the place where the light was coming from. Soon, he arrived at the side of the passage. Before Longao could enter, he was already enveloped by 2 terrifying forces. If he didn't stop in time, just these 2 terrifying forces alone would be enough to crush him into a meat patty. Ha ha ha, Sword Dragon is only a so-so. Today, I want to see how you can escape from my palm. Five-clawed golden dragon, you're only a Don't think that you're invincible. Let me tell you clearly, even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. At the end of the passage was an incomparably huge cave. The entire cave was over 20 meters wide and was filled with huge rocks. However, Longao couldn't care about anything else at this moment, because in the cave, two huge creatures were eyeing him covetously. It seemed that he would be caught in the crossfire at any time. Giant dragon? That's right, there were indeed two genuine dragons in the cave. Five-clawed golden dragon, sword dragon. Longao had a rough understanding of the dragon species. Whether it was the five-clawed golden dragon or the sword dragon, they were both incomparably powerful existences. Longao had never thought that he would meet two huge dragons here, let alone a five-clawed golden dragon and a sword dragon. Longao was very curious. He didn't know why Long Chong had led him here. No matter what, the two dragons had already spoken. Just based on this, Longao had already guessed that regardless of whether it was the five-clawed golden dragon or the sword dragon, their strength should not be too low. Longao had already noticed that the sword dragon not far away was clearly heavily injured. It was riddled with wounds, and its body was on the verge of collapse, as if it could collapse at any moment. Seeing this situation, the five-clawed golden dragon was obviously very happy and excited to the extreme. After so many years of continuous fighting, he had finally defeated the sword dragon. He was only one step away from successfully absorbing the sword dragon's blood and forcefully breaking through his current realm. The sword dragon's entire body was covered with thick dragon scales that were arranged in an orderly manner. Moreover, on each of the huge dragon scales, there was a sharp spike. It looked extremely terrifying, causing one's scalp to tingle. A pair of huge eyes stared fixedly at the five-clawed golden dragon in front of him. The sword dragon was very unwilling in his heart. He was only one step away from officially advancing. Killing the five-clawed golden dragon was simply a matter of minutes. But now, he was only one step away, but he failed. Not only did he not successfully advance, he was also heavily injured by the five-clawed golden dragon. Now, his life was in danger. The five-clawed golden dragon was born with 5 claws. Its attack power was extremely strong. Among the many dragon species, it was a super species that was ranked at the top. The sword dragon was covered with spikes. Its attack power was also extremely strong. Among the many dragon species, it was also ranked at the top. Sword dragon, as long as you submit to me, I can spare your dog life. How about it? Bah, who do you think you are? The five-clawed golden dragon is born to be shameless. What else can you do besides sneak attacking people from behind? It's simply a disgrace to the dragon race to have a member like you. The five-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon were tit for tat. A battle could break out at any time. Longao did not leave. Instead, he carefully squatted down. Now that the sword dragon and the five-clawed golden dragon were about to fight, once both sides were injured, he would be able to reap the benefits. Whether it was the five-clawed golden dragon or the sword dragon, both of them were incomparably powerful existences. If he could obtain both of them, wouldn't it be perfect? Five-clawed golden dragon, if you have the ability, wait until I recover from my injuries. As long as you can defeat me, I will choose to submit to you. Do you dare to accept the challenge? Idiot. Of course, the five-clawed golden dragon did not dare to accept the challenge. If he did not choose to sneak attack this time, he would not have been able to injure the sword dragon. It was not about who was stronger between the five-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon. It was just that the five-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon had fought for so many years without a clear winner, but the sword dragon was preparing to break through at this time. The five-clawed golden dragon was not a fool. If the sword dragon officially broke through at this time, then it would be easy to kill him. It was precisely because of this that the five-clawed golden dragon did not care about his face and chose to sneak attack. Looking at the five-clawed golden dragon in front of him, the sword dragon was extremely angry. He was only one step away from officially advancing, but all of this was destroyed by the five-clawed golden dragon. He was very angry in his heart, but what could he do? At the edge of the passage, the battle between the five-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon. Longao was filled with anticipation and excitement. After all, once the two dragons started fighting and both sides were injured, it would only be beneficial to him and not the slightest bit of harm. An angry roar. In the end, the five-clawed golden dragon could not help but take the initiative to attack because he knew that the sword dragon was only injured by his sneak attack. Once it recovered, who knew if it would break through? The five-clawed golden dragon's entire body was like a meteor as it directly arrived in front of the sword dragon. Without giving the sword dragon the slightest chance to react, it directly pounced on it. The sword dragon saw that the five-clawed golden dragon had already attacked, but it did not feel the slightest bit of fear. Its entire body slammed into the ground, creating a huge crater. Just when the five-clawed golden dragon and Longao did not know what the sword dragon wanted to do, the sword dragon used the force of the crater to fiercely collide with the five-clawed golden dragon. The two dragons fiercely collided. The force was too great, and their entire bodies were fiercely bounced back. However, the two dragons obviously did not want to stop at all. They turned around and continued to fiercely collide. This was the most violent and direct way of fighting. In a short while, the entire cave was full of holes. The scene was extremely shocking. Chapter 329. How terrifying! Longao fiercely swallowed his own throat. It could be said that Longao had truly witnessed a great battle between true experts. It was terrifying to describe it in one word. Stegosaurus suddenly turned around and stared coldly at the five-clawed golden dragon in front of him. He sneered and said, "Five-clawed golden dragon, do you really think you can defeat me? Ha ha ha, Stegosaurus, are you afraid?" The five-clawed golden dragon laughed complacently, but Stegosaurus's face was full of contempt and ridicule. If it wasn't for the sneak attack of the five-clawed golden dragon, how could the five-clawed golden dragon defeat him? How could the five-clawed golden dragon be his opponent? At this time, Stegosaurus's entire body soared into the sky. Then, with his back facing down, he ruthlessly smashed the five-clawed golden dragon. Stegosaurus's intention was very simple. He wanted to use the spikes on his body to deal with the five-clawed golden dragon. How could the five-clawed golden dragon not know this? So, the five-clawed golden dragon didn't choose to meet force with force. Stegosaurus's state of mind had changed after being sneak attacked. The five-clawed golden dragon didn't blindly dodge because he knew very well that dodging wouldn't be able to end the battle. Slap! The five-clawed golden dragon's terrifying dragon tail ruthlessly swept up. It drew a strange arc and hit Stegosaurus's chest at an incredible angle. The five-clawed golden dragon was overjoyed. Without any hesitation, he began to use his dragon tail to fiercely whip Stegosaurus. However, it was impossible for Stegosaurus to stand still and let him be whipped. It was simply unrealistic. Stegosaurus was seriously injured. He knew that he couldn't hold on for too long. So, with the help of his powerful body, he chose to meet force with force with force. The two dragons belonged to the aggressive dragon race. So, the battle was particularly wild. It was either you die or I die. In the end, the five-clawed golden dragon's skill was better. In any case, Stegosaurus was injured. Such a wild battle would definitely worsen Stegosaurus's injuries. The five-clawed golden dragon knew this. Stegosaurus also knew this. Even Longao was very clear. Stegosaurus couldn't afford to delay, but the five-clawed golden dragon deliberately delayed. "Stegosaurus, aren't you very arrogant? Ha 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 ha, I'm finally going to defeat you." The five-clawed golden dragon was confident that he could defeat the sword dragon. Furious dragon roars resounded throughout the cave. The sword dragon's heart was filled with unwillingness. It was only one step away, but it was this step that it could not take. "Stegosaurus, are you very angry? Five-clawed golden dragon, you are truly a disgrace to my dragon clan. I feel sad for you. Ha ha ha, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. I'll kill you today, and I'll set the rules. What a pity, you won't be able to see it." The two dragons collided violently. The Stegosaurus gradually felt that it could collapse at any moment, but its unwillingness and anger made it persevere, unwilling to compromise. Seeing the two dragons fighting, Longao was very curious. Why did Long Chong keep coming to this place? Could it be that it was to watch the battle between the five-clawed dragon and the sword dragon? It didn't seem possible. How could the little guy have two dragons appear here? After thinking about it, Longao still couldn't figure out the reason. He could only communicate with the spirit stone and ask directly. After a while, Longao didn't know whether to laugh or feel helpless. According to Long Chong, there was a treasure here that was very important to Long Chong. It was precisely because of this that Longao felt incomparably helpless. No matter what, there were two dragons here. Fortunately, it was a battle, and he still had a chance to seize the treasure. What if the two dragons weren't fighting? Things had already reached this point. Longao didn't choose to leave. Just now, the little guy had said that this treasure was very important to him. Since that was the case, he had to help the little guy obtain this treasure even if he had to risk his life. Five-clawed golden dragon. I'll let you have a taste of my sword dragon's strongest attack. As if he had guessed something, the five-clawed golden dragon's face suddenly changed. There was even panic as he roared, "Sword dragon, damn it, are you crazy? Hurry up and stop. Everything can be discussed. There's no need to make both sides suffer." With a painful roar, countless spikes on the sword dragon's body began to slowly pull out. Seeing this situation, Longao didn't know what the sword dragon wanted to do, but the five-clawed golden dragon knew. Despair was written all over his face, because he knew what the Stegosaurus' most powerful move represented. Both sides would suffer. According to the rules of the Stegosaurus race, unless it was absolutely necessary, they absolutely could not use this move that would cause both sides to suffer. The sword dragon's strongest move was actually very simple. It was to use all the spikes on its body to shoot out fiercely. It was like rain. There was nowhere to hide. The five-clawed golden dragon clearly knew the power of this move. The sword dragon's body constantly trembled. The countless spikes on its back all flew up like lightning and scattered in all directions. Its speed was so fast that it didn't give the five-clawed golden dragon any chance to react. Sword dragon, even if I die, I won't let you go." Victory was clearly in front of him, but because the sword dragon chose to suffer, he lost his life. The five-clawed golden dragon never expected such a result. Of course, the five-clawed golden dragon wouldn't let it go for nothing. If he was killed and the sword dragon survived, even if he died, he wouldn't be able to rest in peace. It was precisely because of this that the five-clawed golden dragon was prepared to self-destruct. "Master, hurry up and stop the five-clawed golden dragon from self-destructing. Otherwise, it will be useless." Longao, who was originally prepared to watch the battle from the sidelines, suddenly heard Long Fu's voice. He was very surprised and didn't know what Long Fu meant. What kind of joke was this? He wanted him to stop the five-clawed golden dragon from self-destructing? Could he do it with his own strength? Although he was very confident in his own strength, Longao still had self-awareness. With his current strength, he couldn't even withstand a single attack from the two giant dragons. Longao didn't want to die in vain. "Master, if the three of you can devour the blood and soul of the two dragons, not only will it be of great help to your strength, it will also be beneficial to your soul and physique. You can't miss this opportunity. Master, hurry up and stop the five-clawed golden dragon from self-destructing." "Long Fu, I believe you know better than me how strong the five-clawed golden dragon is. I don't want to die in vain. Master, with the help of the dragon seal's power, you should be able to kill it in one strike." Since things had already reached this point, if Longao continued to hesitate and waited for the five-clawed golden dragon to self-destruct and disappear with the sword dragon, then the opportunity would really be gone. At that time, it would be too late to regret it. Thinking of this, a small black seal suddenly appeared in Longao's hand, and he directly rushed forward. Chapter 330. What's that? The five-clawed golden dragon, who was about to self-destruct, suddenly saw a small black shadow smashing towards him. At first, He didn't notice it, but when the small black seal smashed into his body, he grimaced in pain. Human, F***ck your grandfather. Actually, from the beginning, the two huge dragons had already noticed Longao. However, Longao was too weak and couldn't enter the eyes of the two huge dragons. But it was because of this that Longao had a chance. One hit for sure. Although he was extremely excited, Longao suppressed his excitement and said embarrassedly, "I'm sorry, I accidentally hit you. How do you feel?" The five-clawed golden dragon, who was already incomparably furious, became even more furious when he heard this. He almost fainted. "I can't accept this. I can't accept this." Angry roars resounded throughout the cave. After being attacked by the small black seal and the spikes, the five-clawed golden dragon could no longer resist. He didn't even have the chance to self-destruct. His huge body fiercely fell to the ground. One could even feel the entire cave trembling. Seeing the five-clawed golden dragon's body fall, the sword dragon couldn't hold on any longer and also fell. Both sides suffered. Looking at the two huge dragons that fell to the ground, Longao couldn't react for a moment. Happiness seemed to have come too quickly. Two incomparably powerful huge dragons. Not to mention other things, just the two souls were enough to refine a powerful soul slave. "Master, the dragon seal space needs the souls of the two huge dragons." Hearing this, Longao's face turned ugly. This Long Fu, he had just tricked him into smashing the five-clawed golden dragon. He risked his life and smashed the five-clawed golden dragon to death with great difficulty. Now, the two souls were directly returned to the dragon seal space? "Master, the strength of the two huge dragons has already surpassed the nothingness realm. With the current situation of the blood pool, it's impossible to refine such powerful souls. Therefore, I'm preparing to restore the dragon seal space." So that's how it is. A super existence above the nothingness realm. Longao found it hard to imagine. If he could refine the souls of the two huge dragons into soul slaves, wouldn't he be able to sweep through the 9 provinces and even dominate the 9 provinces' spirit domain? However, the problem now was that the blood pool in the dragon seal space had yet to recover. It was simply impossible to refine such a powerful soul. It was truly a pity. However, Longao felt relieved after thinking about it. If the blood pool in the dragon seal space could be restored, then in the future, when he obtained a powerful soul, he could refine it into a soul slave. Otherwise, the blood pool wouldn't work. No matter how powerful the soul one obtained, it would just be nonsense. "Master, hurry up and absorb the blood of the two dragons. I'll help you stabilize your bodies." Nodding, Zhang Xian released the two little fellows. Without any hesitation, the human, the dragon, and the tiger began devouring the blood of the two dragons. After finding a bloody wound, Longao sucked on it and gnashed his teeth madly. After all, the dragon's body was too big. If he didn't use force, he wouldn't be able to absorb any blood. Longao gulped down the blood of the two dragons. The dragon blood flowed down his throat and spread throughout his body. At this moment, Longao felt as if his skin was about to explode. The pain was unbearable. After absorbing for an unknown amount of time, Longao's entire body began to tremble. Pain, intense pain, incomparably intense pain. Longao never thought that absorbing the dragon's blood would bring him such intense pain. However, Longao didn't choose to give up. As the saying goes, only through suffering can one rise above others. As long as he could persevere, he believed that it would be of great benefit to him. The pain of the dragon's blood being poured on the body was not something that a human could bear. After all, the difference between the physique of a dragon and a human was too great. The fact that a dragon could bear it didn't mean that a human could also bear it. With Longao's current desolate tyrant body, he couldn't bear this pain. One could imagine that if an ordinary person were to swallow the blood, wouldn't their body immediately explode from the dragon's blood? He had to admit that the desolate tyrant body was the #1 physique in the world. After a short period of pain, Longao found that he couldn't feel any pain. Instead, he felt very comfortable. He was overjoyed. Longao knew very well that after a short period of inhuman pain, he had already ushered in the benefits. According to Long Fu's guidance, Longao immediately circulated the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique. Ever since he had obtained this supreme technique, Longao was so depressed that he was afraid. After such a long time, even though his cultivation had broken through to the venerable realm, he was still unable to officially break through the second cycle of the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique. The combination of the desolate tyrant body and the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique was simply flawless. At this time, all the dragon's blood that he had swallowed in his body slowly flowed along the airflow and into all parts of his body. Master, I'm now using the blood of 2 dragons to help you perfect the desolate tyrant body. Remember, no matter what happens, don't try to resist. Otherwise, you'll be in great trouble. I understand. Longao trusted Long Fu very much. He wouldn't believe that Long Fu would harm him even if he was beaten to death. It was precisely because of this that Longao handed him over without any scruples. If it were anyone else, would Longao do this? Time passed by bit. Other than the sound of heavy breathing in the cave, only 2 huge dragon corpses could be seen lying quietly on the ground. On the other side, Longao, Long Chong, and Long Fu were all perfecting their respective physiques with the help of Long Fu. Long Chong, tell me, where's the treasure you need? It was only at this moment that Longao remembered that he had entered the cave this time because of Long Chong's summons. It was said that there was a treasure. Longao was looking forward to this treasure. After all, if it could make Long Chong so wild, one could imagine the value of the treasure. Following Long Chong's guidance, Longao came to a stone wall and knocked on it. Sure enough, it was hollow inside. Out of curiosity, he smashed the stone wall open and a huge secret compartment appeared. Inside the secret compartment, there was a small brocade box. Longao seemed to be a little impatient. However, just as Longao was about to open it, he was stopped by Long Chong. Little guy, what's wrong? There's a mechanism? Seeing Long Chong nodding, Longao was a little scared. Fortunately, Long Chong reminded him. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable if he opened it. A terrifying power erupted from Long Chong's body and directly enveloped the small brocade box. After a full hour of fusion, Long Chong indicated that the small brocade box could be opened. Nodding, Longao naturally chose to believe in Long Chong. He gently opened the small brocade box. There was only a small golden bead inside. It was particularly dazzling. Moreover, the small bead emitted a faintly discernible power. It didn't seem simple, but it was actually abnormally terrifying. Longao was very shocked. He didn't know what this golden bead was. After all, Long Chong wanted this bead so much. It was obvious that it wasn't something ordinary. Chapter 331. Long Chong, what is this? Hearing the news from Long Chong, Longao stood there in a daze, staring at the small pearl in his hand. Dragon God Pearl? Although he didn't know about the Dragon Clan, Longao still knew the basic things. The Dragon God Pearl was the most precious treasure of every generation of the Dragon Clan. Only the Dragon God could possess it. In other words, even if other dragons obtained the Dragon God Pearl, they wouldn't be able to activate it. In that case, what was the use of Long Chong obtaining the Dragon God Pearl? Master, this little guy is a mutant divine dragon. He can activate the Dragon God Pearl. It's just that he can't activate it with his current strength. Hearing this, Longao was overjoyed. Long Fu, according to what you said, once the little guy activates the Dragon God Pearl, will he have a chance to become a dragon god in the future? The Dragon God was the most powerful existence in the Dragon Clan. However, many years ago, after the fall of the first Dragon God, the whereabouts of the Dragon God Pearl were unknown. Since then, there had been no new Dragon God in the Dragon Clan. As the most powerful existence in the world, the Dragon Clan was very few in number. Otherwise, the world would not be dominated by humans. It would be the Dragon Clan that dominated everything. Longao never thought that he would get the Dragon God Pearl in this place. In any case, it was a good thing to get the Dragon God Pearl. At least in the future, The little guy would have a chance to become a dragon god and control the dragon clan. It would be a great help to him. Longao thought in his heart that if the little guy really became the dragon god that the dragon clan trusted, he would lead the dragon clan to completely break away from the Long family. When the time came, he would enter the dragon sect. There was no doubt that the dragon sect would replace the Long family and become the new overlord of the continent in the future. Just thinking about it made him extremely excited. Long Chong, here you go. Longao didn't keep the dragon god pearl. In any case, the dragon god pearl was of no use to him. If the little guy could activate the dragon god pearl one day, then it would be the time for the little guy to truly rise. Master, you have already devoured the blood of 2 dragons. I have helped you completely stabilize the desolate sacred body, but I found a problem. What is it? Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was shocked. Could it be that something had happened to his desolate body? Longao had always had a love-hate relationship with his sacred desolation body. Back then, if it weren't for the desolate sacred physique, he wouldn't have fallen from a genius to a trash. However, ever since he had obtained the dragon seal space, the desolate sacred physique had turned from the number 1 trash to the number 1 cultivation physique. Because of this, nothing must happen to the sacred desolation physique. Master, you don't have to worry. The sacred desolation physique is fine. When I helped you stabilize the desolation physique just now, I discovered that the sacred desolation physique can actually be upgraded. What do you mean? Longao was very curious. He didn't know what Long Fu meant. Master, your desolate physique has already mutated. It's no longer a single desolate physique. As your strength continues to increase and your strength continues to strengthen, I believe that your desolate physique will continue to level up. When it solidifies to its peak state, I believe that just relying on the desolate physique alone will be enough to break through the heavens and move the universe. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't excited. Long Fu, what do I need to do? Master, you don't need to do anything. You just need to cultivate well and increase your strength as soon as possible. If you encounter a power that's suitable for the desolate physique, I'll help you stabilize it. Nodding his head, with Long Fu, he didn't need to worry about anything. Looking at the 2 giant dragon corpses on the ground, Longao was really reluctant to part with them. No matter what, the 2 giant dragons were super existences that were above the nothingness realm. If he were to sell them, he believed that he would be able to sell them for an astronomical figure. However, Longao knew even more clearly that once the corpses of the 5-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon were exposed, it would definitely cause a great deal of trouble. At that time, there would be no lack of suffering and bloodshed. One had to know that the 5-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon were 2 of the strongest races of the dragon clan. Moreover, the 2 giant dragons on the ground were super existences that were above the nothingness realm. If the dragon clan found out about the loss of such experts, it was easy to imagine what kind of trouble it would cause. After thinking about it, Longao decided to take the 2 giant dragon corpses away, even if the dragon clan found out about it in the future. Since he wasn't going to sell them, he believed that no one would know about it if he left them in his family, let alone the dragon clan. He placed the 2 giant dragon corpses into the dragon seal space. After all, if he carried the 2 giant dragon corpses out, it would probably scare everyone. This time, being hunted down by the rank 3 dragon clan could be considered a blessing in disguise. Not only did he successfully condense the desolate physique, but he also obtained the divine dragon pearl. Once Long Chong opened the divine dragon pearl, it wouldn't be impossible for him to become a dragon god in the future. Longao was in a good mood and wasn't in a hurry to leave. Since he was already here, he might as well stay and cultivate. He wanted to see if he could condense his spiritual source and form a golden core. Although it seemed easy for the Void Sovereign to break through to the Void Sovereign level, it was actually very difficult. He only needed to take one step to enter the ranks of sovereigns. However, it was this simple step that was incomparably difficult. Sitting quietly in the cave, Longao guarded his origin and crazily absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth around him. However, what made Longao feel very helpless was that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't condense his spiritual source, let alone form a golden core. Longao sighed deeply. He had a feeling that he had already touched the threshold of sovereign level, but he couldn't take that step. It was too difficult. It was like a person who had been hungry for 3 days and 3 nights and saw 100 steamed buns in front of him. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't touch the buns. One could imagine how this person would feel. Long Fu, why do you think I'm still unable to condense my spiritual source and form a golden core even though I've already touched the threshold of sovereign level? Longao looked depressed. After all, no matter who encountered this kind of situation, they would be the same. Long Fu thought for a moment and said, Master, it should be because your desolate sacred body needs more power to upgrade. So, according to my guess, if you want to break through to the void sovereign level and form a golden core, you first need to devour a lot of power. The power needed to upgrade the desolate sacred body also needs to increase? Hearing this, Longao almost fell because the desolate sacred body itself needed a lot of power. If it continued to upgrade, when would he be able to break through to the void sovereign level? Longao was extremely depressed. It turned out that there were advantages and disadvantages to condensing the desolate tyrant body. The advantage was that the desolate tyrant body was comparable to the body of a giant dragon. The disadvantage was that it needed more power. He shrugged helplessly. Since he had already condensed the desolate tyrant body, it was useless to complain. It seemed that he still needed to absorb more power. P.S. End of 10 chapters. Look at the time. It's 9:30. Hurry up and eat and go to sleep. Staying up late is really not for humans. Everyone, seeing that Xiaoju is working so hard, vote more monthly and tip him. Chapter 332. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. The third-rank Long family still couldn't find Longao. Even the other 3 factions couldn't find him. Where did Longao go? Did Longao really leave the 9-state spirit realm? The third-rank Long family knew that once Longao left the 9-state spirit realm and Longao gave up on his family, it would be too difficult to find him in a sea of people. The news of Longao causing a ruckus in the third-rank Long family had spread throughout the 9-state spirit realm. If they couldn't find him, the third-rank Long family would lose everything. In the main hall of the third-rank Long family, Master, we still can't find Longao. If there are no accidents, Longao should have left the 9-state spirit realm. The only thing I'm worried about now is that Longao has given up on his family. If that's the case, it'll be much more difficult to find him. Nodding, Long Mao's face was extremely gloomy. Elder, we must settle Longao's matter as soon as possible. Otherwise, the 9-state spirit realm will laugh at us. Master, what do you mean? Take the enforcement heavenly masters to the ordinary spirit realm. No matter what, you must bring Longao's family to me. I don't believe that he will abandon his family. Master, there's something I don't know if I should say. Say it. In the entire third-rank Long family, only Long Yin dared to speak to the master like this. After all, the 2 of them were the strongest in the Long family. Long Maoan was number 1, and Long Yin was number 2. Master, if the world knows that we kidnapped Longao's family to threaten him, it will affect our family. Waving his hand, Long Maoan sneered, No matter what happens, I want Longao dead. Long Yin sighed deeply. He knew that the master's personality was like this. As long as the sect's interests were harmed, he would do anything. In the end, Long Yin had no choice but to bring the 10 heavenly venerables to the ordinary spirit domain. Longao was afraid of implicating his family, so he hid the matter of Longao Mountain. Therefore, it was not easy for Long Yin to find the whereabouts of the Longao family. The rank 3 Long family sent experts to the normal spirit domain, while spreading the news that they were going to the normal spirit domain to find the Longao family, the largest spirit beast mountain range in the imperial city. Longao had been cultivating for nearly 2 months, but his cultivation was still unable to truly break through to the void supremacy level. He was only 1 step away, and it was like the difference between heaven and earth. Longao had a feeling that he was just a hair's breadth away from void supremacy. It seemed like he had already crossed the threshold of void supremacy. However, It was this hair's breadth that he was unable to cross. The difference in strength between Honorable Void and Honorable Void was huge, especially under such circumstances. What was the problem? After thinking about it, Longao still could not figure out what was wrong. During this period, he had absorbed part of the five-clawed golden dragon's power. According to Long Fu, with this power, his cultivation should be able to break through. However, what was the result? Long Fu did not know what was going on. Longao had no choice. It seemed that he could only rely on luck. At this time, Longao inadvertently heard a piece of news. It was about the rank 3 Long family and his family. Just as he received the news, Longao's expression changed drastically. His face darkened as he said, "Rank 3 Long family, you asked for it." Family had always been Longao's weakness. No matter who it was, if they wanted to touch the Long family, they would have to ask if he agreed. Longao left the Spirit Beast mountain range. The spirit domain of the 9 states was divided into 4 major plates. They were the Imperial City in the east, the Long family in the west, the Nether Mansion in the south, and the Ethereal Palace in the north. Now, Longao was in the Imperial City in the east. The spirit domain of the 9 states had 4 major plates, and each plate was incomparably huge. Longao was very careful in the Imperial City. No matter what, the Dragon Sect had destroyed the 3 major sects and fought against the Ghost King sect. It could be said that they had directly touched the Imperial City's interests. If there were no accidents, the Imperial City would definitely deal with him. Under such circumstances, Longao was really unwilling to provoke the Imperial City. If the Long family and the Imperial City attacked him at the same time, wouldn't he be attacked from both sides? Rank 3 Long family, Imperial City. Longao was preparing to leave the Imperial City for the ordinary spirit domain. Although no one knew the location of his family, it was better to be safe than sorry. What if the Long family found the Longao Peak? Longao could completely imagine that if the Long family sent out the law enforcement Heavenly Venerables, even with the fire Qilin guarding the Longao Peak, once they assassinated or attacked by force, would the family be able to withstand it? Others might not know, but how could Longao not know? Although the fire Qilin was powerful, he was seriously injured and had not recovered at all. Not to mention the Heavenly Venerables, even the Supreme Venerables might not be able to defeat him. He could only suppress the enemy with his aura and scare them away. If he was scared away, everything would be fine. What if he was not scared away? It was precisely because of this that Longao could not wait to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states and return to the Tianzhou Imperial City's teleportation array. There was only one way to go from the spirit domain of the 9 states to the ordinary spirit domain, and that was to use the various teleportation arrays. However, the teleportation arrays were firmly controlled by the 4 major forces. No matter who wanted to leave, they had to obtain the consent of the 4 major forces. The 4 major forces had previously agreed that in order to balance the upper and lower spirit domains, they would prohibit the upper and lower spirit domains from going to and fro. Usually, it was difficult for Longao to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states, let alone at this time. I want to go to the ordinary spirit domain. The guard of the teleportation array was a Heavenly Venerables. The law enforcement Heavenly Venerables of the Imperial City were very arrogant. They glanced at him and said indifferently, "Name, where are you from?" Longao, from the 3rd rank Long family. Longao did not say that he was from the Imperial City, but the Heavenly Venerables clearly did not believe him. Suddenly, they took out a portrait from their bosom. They glanced at it and said coldly, "Longao of the Long family of the Scarlet Fire Town, come with me." Shocked, Longao never thought that the other party would be able to recognize him at a glance. Just as Longao wanted to leave, he found that his body had been locked. It was not an easy thing to leave. "Longao, I am only following orders. When the Imperial City hands you over to the 3rd rank Long family, your life or death will depend on you." Sure enough, Longao was very curious. He did not know why the Imperial City would work for the 3rd rank Long family. Even if the Long family was known as the leader of the 4 major forces, the Imperial City would not do so. After all, the 4 major forces had suffered countless casualties in the war. "Senior, there is no grudge between you and me. It is convenient for you to help others. I, Longao, will remember this kindness in the future. You can go. And, hearing that the other party was really letting him go, Longao was a little confused. He did not know what the other party meant. P.S. During this period of time, Xiaoju has been staying up too late, causing him to be really tired. Yesterday, he slept all day and only woke up at 10 o'clock. The first chapter has been delivered. Please forgive me. Chapter 333. Senior Yu. Waving his hand, the Sky Sovereign said indifferently, I admire your courage and talent. You're right, there is no enmity between us. I don't need to work for the third-rank Long family. Ever since Longao made his debut, he had always thought that everyone was selfish. Only now did he know that there were still good people in this world. Thank you, Senior. Longao, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't try to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states for the time being. All the transmission arrays of the 4 major forces have been sealed. No matter where you go, the 4 major forces will know. When that time comes, you will be in big trouble. Longao had already guessed that the third-rank Long family would seal their transmission arrays, but he never thought that the 3 major forces would do the same. It seemed that the third-rank Long family's foundation was still very terrifying. Even the 3 major forces had to give them face. Senior, I have a presumptuous request. I hope that you can let me leave the spirit domain of the 9 states. As if he had already guessed that Longao would say this, the Sky Sovereign nodded and opened the transmission array without further nonsense. Delighted, Longao stepped into the transmission array. After expressing his gratitude, his entire body disappeared. In the blink of an eye, Longao had returned to the ordinary spirit domain. As soon as he returned to the Dragon Sect, Longao received news that the Ghost King Sect was preparing to attack the Dragon Sect in 3 days. The person who passed this news to Longao was Aotion. When the two of them formed an alliance, they agreed that one would be in the light and the other in the dark. As long as there was a chance, the 2 families would work together to deal with the Imperial City. Under normal circumstances, this kind of situation would never happen. However, Longao and the Ghost King were both ambitious people. Even the impossible became possible. Whether it was the Ghost King or Longao, they were very clear about one thing. As long as they destroyed the Imperial City, they would become the new overlords of the 9 states. After receiving news that his family was safe and sound, Longao could finally breathe a sigh of relief. At night, the black moon hung high in the sky, and the black wind blew. Longao seemed to have guessed that Aotion's figure would suddenly appear in the Ghost Sect. The two of them sat down in the pavilion. Longao, it's said that the 4 major factions have already issued a kill order for you. This time, the Imperial City will ally with the 3rd-grade Long family to deal with you. According to the information I received, as long as the Imperial City destroys you, the 3rd-grade Long family will help the Imperial City truly obtain the Tianzhou province. So that was the case. Longao's expression was also slightly grave, because he knew very well what the alliance between the rank 3 Long family and the Imperial City meant. Longao, given the current situation, you don't have to fight them head-on. Revenge is a dish best served cold. How could Longao not know about the Ghost King's worries? But could he really avoid it? Without hiding anything, Ghost King Aotion recounted everything that happened at the 3rd-grade dragon family. After he finished listening, Ghost King Aotion's face turned serious. He said, if that's the case, then there's no way to avoid it. But the Imperial City and the 3rd-grade dragon family are too strong. Relying on the Dragon Sect's strength alone, it's impossible to contend against these 2 forces. Uncle Ao, do you have a way? Longao was well aware of Aotion's character. Even if his relationship with Aoshue was there, as long as he had no value, the first person to abandon him would be Ghost King Aotion. Longao could completely guess that if he didn't have a way, the Ghost King wouldn't have appeared here tonight. Nodding, Aotion said, Longao, the Ghost King sect will attack you later. I'll do everything I can to get the Imperial City people to come out. When the time comes, you just have to keep attacking the Imperial City army. I believe that the other three major factions will slowly intervene. Uncle Ao, how many people did the Imperial City send this time? Not many, just over 300. They're all Scientian martial artists, and there's only one heavenly venerate. I believe that with the ghost sect's strength, they can definitely do it. 300 Scientian martial artists and one heavenly venerate. This was a very powerful force. Longao was well aware that the Ghost King wanted to test him this time. If he couldn't even deal with these people, then it would be impossible for him to deal with the Imperial City. Nodding, Longao didn't say anything else. After sending Ao Tian off, he immediately went to find Dugu Bai and Xiajun, including Xiafeng and Hao Chao. Longao told them about the Imperial City's plan to deal with the Dragon Sect. After hearing this, the four people's faces became serious. Dugu Bai said, "Master, forgive me for being blunt, but with the sect's current strength, it's impossible for us to be a match for the Imperial City. If we choose to meet force with force, I'm afraid we'll be digging our own graves." I know this, but we must win this battle. At this time, Longao's face was full of doubt. He said, "Wait for me here." With that, Longao got up and left quickly. The four people didn't know what was going on and could only wait in the hall, inside the Dragon Seal space. "Master, with the Dragon Sect's current strength, it's impossible for them to be a match for the Imperial City. Just because of this." Chapter 334. Constantly improving. Sighing deeply, Long Ao naturally knew that with the current heaven and earth formation, it was impossible to kill a stronger martial artist. No matter what, the current heaven and earth formation that could kill an Empyrean martial artist had solved the urgent problem. "Long Fu, let's begin immediately." "No problem." Then, Long Fu told Long Ao how to set up the heaven and earth formation. 2 hours later, Long Ao returned to the main hall, causing the four to be extremely worried. They didn't know what had happened to the master and why he had left. Seeing that the master had returned safely, they let out a sigh of relief. "The four of you, I now have a way to deal with the Imperial City. Send out the order, no matter if it's the inner or outer disciples of the Ghost Sect, they are not allowed to take a single step out of the sect." Hearing that the master had a way to deal with the Imperial City, the four of them were immediately overjoyed. "Master, what method can we use to stop the Imperial City?" Of course, the four of them were well aware of the Imperial City's strength. They also knew how strong the Empyreans were. In other words, the master already had a way to stop the Empyreans? Very surprised, the four of them thought for a moment, then asked in the end. "Heaven and earth formation. Remember, you can't tell any of the disciples about this." Then, Long Ao told them about the heaven and earth formation. After hearing that, the four of them could be said to be extremely shocked. Dugu Bai said, "Grandmaster, since we already possess such a powerful formation, we must attack the Imperial City once and for all. Let them be completely terrified after the first time, or even the second time." Formation. The four of them all knew what a formation represented. Formation masters were one of the most powerful existences in the world, but they were also extremely rare. The four of them didn't know how the master could set up such a powerful formation in just a short 2 hours. "I know what I'm doing. You guys go and make the arrangements. Don't disturb me for 2 days. I need to put all my effort into setting up the heaven and earth formation." Nodding, the four of them left in a single file. Not long after, they had all left the main hall. Long Ao didn't hesitate at all. Under normal circumstances, the Imperial City would have already been prepared to attack the sect. However, Ghost King Ao Tian tried his best to stop him. In other words, he had 3 days to prepare. After obtaining the method of setting up the heaven and earth formation, Long Ao immediately began to set it up. The heaven and earth formation was not created by anyone. It was nurtured by the heaven and earth. According to Long Fu, the heaven and earth formation had not been born since he obtained it. Therefore, Long Fu wanted to see how powerful the heaven and earth formation was. The heaven and earth formation. The heaven and earth formation was heaven and earth formation. As long as the heaven and earth didn't perish, The formation would be destroyed heaven and earth earth formation would not be destroyed heaven and earth earth. As for setting up the heaven and earth array formation, the foundation that was required was something that most people would not be able to obtain. Fortunately, Long Fu had all of it, so setting it up was relatively smooth. Not only that, Longao also placed all the powerful corpse demons in the array. After 2 days, the heaven and earth array was barely completed. After slightly activating the heaven and earth array, Longao only sensed the aura of the array. His face was full of confidence. However, since no one had broken through the array, he still did not know how powerful the array was. Tomorrow, the Imperial City's army of 300 would come to the sect. If they couldn't stop them, not only him, but the sect would be destroyed. Longao didn't dare to act recklessly. If the heaven and earth formation couldn't stop the Imperial City's army, the consequences would be unimaginable. Because of this, Longao moved most of the sect's disciples to Longao Peak. If they could stop the army this time, the dragon sect would become famous. Longao knew very well that although the sect was as famous as the Ghost King sect, everyone still looked down on the sect. After all, he had just established the dragon sect. His strength and foundation were there for all to see. At this moment, someone came to the dragon sect. "Are you a disciple of the Crimson Dragon City's Long Clan?" "Yes, this is a letter from my young master. He hopes that young master Longao can save him." Taking the letter and opening it, Longao's complexion suddenly changed after just a glance. It turned out that ever since he left, he didn't know where the spirit beasts came from, and they directly surrounded the Crimson Dragon City. Thousands of spirit beasts surrounded the Crimson Dragon City. Among them were more than a dozen supreme spirit beasts. In just a few months, the Crimson Dragon City had been attacked dozens of times. If it wasn't for the Long family, the Crimson Dragon City would have been destroyed. Long Potion's meaning was simple. He was inviting Lin Fan to go to the Crimson Dragon City to save the Long family. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he knew that Long Patian would not ask him for help unless it was a last resort. However, the current situation was that the sect was in trouble. If he left, the Imperial City would break into the sect. Lin Fan was in a dilemma. He sighed deeply. On one side was the dragon sect that he built with his own hands. On the other side was his good friend. It was hard to choose. "Brother Long, is there something on your mind?" "Brother Dugu, now that my brother is in trouble, he is urgently asking me to go and save him. But I can't leave the sect now. I want to ask you, on one side is the dragon sect, and on the other is my good friend. How should I choose?" It was really difficult, really difficult. Dugubai knew that Longao was in a dilemma, but he still said, "Brother Long, if it was anything else, I would support you to help your friend. But now that the sect is in trouble, your friend can't compare to the sect. Our priority now is to protect the sect." Longao knew what Dugubai meant. He had to give up on his friend and choose the sect. But could he really choose the sect? Giving up on his friend was not something Longao could do. He thought about it and said, "Brother Dugu, I still want to choose my friend. Later, you can move everyone out. I will settle this with the Imperial City in the future." With regards to Longao's character, Dugubai naturally knew it very well. He deeply sighed and did not say anything else. He turned around and left. A crescent moon hung high in the night sky. Longao stood quietly at the peak of the mountain, looking at the endless void in the distance. Longao had decided to help Long Patian this time. As for the sect, as long as the disciples were fine, there would be a chance for them to rise again in the future. The heaven and earth formation had been set up successfully. Longao could not destroy it. Because of this, Longao was ready to settle the matters in Crimson Dragon City and then come back to rebuild the sect. He did not believe that the Imperial City could do anything to them. Longao stood quietly at the peak of the mountain. He did not move for the entire night. When the next day came, Longao immediately set off, rushing to Crimson Dragon City at the fastest speed. As for the sect matters, he left them to Dugubai and Xiajun. Chapter 335. The Tianwu continent was divided into 9 states, namely the sky, earth, sun, moon, sunset, Cloud, Crimson, Illusion, and Black Forest. The Crimson State had 9 great clans, namely the Wang, Hao, Duanmu, Long, Miao, Wei, Zhou, Fong, and Yin families. The Crimson Dragon City was the Long family's territory. Ever since Long Patian reached the top of the stairway to heaven, the 8 great clans did not dare to provoke the Long family, but in their hearts, they could not wait for the Long family to be destroyed. Thousands of spiritual beasts suddenly appeared in the Crimson Fire Town, and among them were the 8 great supremes, while the Long family only had 3 supremes. 8 against 3, the result was obvious. If it was in the past, even if there were grudges between the 9 great clans, the 8 great clans would not sit idly by. But now, the situation was completely different. However, the 8 great supremes did not dare to act rashly. After all, the Long family had 3 supremes. If they fought head-on, even if they could destroy the Long family in the end, they would suffer heavy losses. The 8 great supremes were not fools, so they sent out thousands of spiritual beasts to attack the Crimson Dragon City. When the Long family was exhausted, the 8 great supremes would attack. At that time, wouldn't it be easy to destroy the Long family? The Crimson Dragon City. The Long family. Looking at the current Crimson Dragon City, Longbu was completely depressed. As the leader of the 9 great clans, and with his son reaching the top of the stairway to heaven, he believed that the family would definitely soar. But now, in just a few months, the situation had completely reversed. Who is it? Father, do you suspect that someone is doing it on purpose? It's very simple. For so many years, the Crimson Province has never had so many spiritual beasts appear. But now, there are more than 1,000 transformed spiritual beasts, and among them are 8 sovereign-level spiritual beasts. Yet, they didn't attack the other 8 families and only attacked our Long family. Doesn't this mean that someone is deliberately messing with our Long family? Nodding, Long Potion's expression was extremely serious. Now that the 8 great supremes and thousands of spiritual beasts had gathered in the Crimson Dragon City, the 8 great clans turned a blind eye and did not have the slightest intention of helping. There was only one result, and that was the Long family being destroyed by the spiritual beasts. Patian, you asked Longao for help. Will he come? In the past, Longbu would never have asked Longao for help. But now, the situation was completely different. The reason was very simple. He already knew what had happened to Longao several months ago. I don't know. Deep down, Long Patian didn't want Longao to go. No matter what, one could imagine the power of the 8 supreme spirit beasts. He sighed deeply and said, Patian, leave Crimson Dragon City as soon as possible. Remember, the glory of the clan rests on your shoulders. As long as you don't die, there's hope for our clan to rise again. I won't leave. These simple words were enough to express Long Potion's intention. He vowed to live and die with the family. Longbu sighed deeply. How could he not know his son's character? Since Patian chose not to leave, then no matter what he did, Patian wouldn't leave. Just as the two of them were about to attack, a long whistle sounded. Then, a black figure shot over from afar, arriving in the blink of an eye. In a short while, Longao's figure appeared in Crimson Dragon City. It's Longao. It's really Longao. Seeing Longao suddenly appear, Longbu was extremely excited. No matter what, since Longao could kill 3 Supreme Being cultivators, then he had the strength to kill the 8 Supreme Being spiritual beasts. Longbu saw his savior, but Long Patian felt a little guilty. No matter what, his father and the Long family treated Longao like that. This time, Longao still chose to come. This in itself showed that no matter what happened in the past, Longao still treated him as a good friend. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't moved. Because of this, Long Patian didn't even think about it and directly rushed over. This scared Longbu because he knew his son's strength very well. How could he be a match for the 8 Supreme Beings? After a deep look, Longbu didn't go up. In the end, his life was more important than anything. Even his own son couldn't compare. Chapter 336. Longao arrived in time and joined the battle without any hesitation. 1 against 8. Longao was a peak venerable, only one step away from the supremacy level, but he was still incomparable to a real supremacy. If it was an ordinary peak venerable, not to mention 1 against 8 at the same time, even if it was a one-on-one battle, he would probably be killed by a supremacy. But Longao's situation was obviously different. Peak venerable realm, desolate tyrant body, and all kinds of things made Longao fully qualified to fight against a supremacy, although it was a little difficult for him to fight against 8 supremacies alone. Seeing Long Patian suddenly appear, Longao forced the 8 supremacy spirit beasts away with a palm and said anxiously, "Brother Patian, let me deal with this. You deal with the other spirit beasts first." "Brother Long, listen to me." Long Patian took a deep look and finally chose to deal with the other weak spirit beasts, because he knew that he and Longao were not on the same level and couldn't intervene at all. In the blink of an eye, Longao and the 8 supremacy spirit beasts had already fought for 30 rounds, and there was no clear winner. The Divine Dragon Arm and Hell Tiger Arm smashed fiercely, but Longao was still alone and couldn't dodge in time, and was hit by a supremacy spirit beast's fist. Longao didn't dare to be careless, and turned around and smashed fiercely. 1 against 8, it was already very heaven-defying. Roars came one after another. The 8 supremacy spirit beasts never thought that the human martial artist who had just appeared would be so powerful. His realm was obviously lower than theirs, but his strength was on par with them. 1 against 8, and he could still fight to a draw, but what if it was a one-on-one battle? The 8 supremacy spirit beasts didn't dare to imagine how many moves they could block if they fought one-on-one with the human martial artist. Because of this, the 8 supremacy spirit beasts worked even harder, and each of their moves was vicious, wanting to destroy the human martial artist in the shortest time possible. Longao took out his blood-sucking wild saber and slashed again and again, sweeping away the 8 supreme spiritual beasts. The battle was earth-shattering. The 8 supreme spirit beasts attacked from 8 directions at the same time, and surrounded Longao in a circle. They punched and kicked, and didn't give him any chance to escape. Longao was very clear in his heart. Without the fire Chilant's life essence blood, it was impossible for him to kill the 8 supreme spirit beasts. Moreover, he might even suffer a loss. Longao was fully confident that even if he couldn't withstand the attacks of the 8 supreme spiritual beasts, he could still preserve his life. However, he couldn't let things go on like this. He had to find a way to deal with the 8 supreme spirit beasts as soon as possible. Patian seemed very surprised. He obviously knew that the Long family was divided into 9 levels. Those below the 3rd level were almost all trash. However, Patian seemed to think highly of Longao, so he didn't think that Longao would be a 6th level Long family disciple. Very interesting. Longao, this is a matter between me and the Long family of Crimson Dragon City. It has nothing to do with you. Seeing that you're not bad, I won't kill you today. Leave. Long Patian and I are brothers. His business is my business. Unless I'm dead, I won't leave. I advise you to leave as soon as possible. Long Bu was extremely excited that Longao had killed the 8 supreme spiritual beasts. However, seeing the enchanting young man suddenly appear, his expression changed instantly. He asked carefully, "Senior, I don't know how my family offended you. Please tell me." Even Longao was so afraid of this person. Thinking about it, one could imagine what kind of person this Patian was. It was precisely because of this that Long Bu was worried to the extreme. He didn't know how he had offended such a strong person who could actually command spirit beasts. I admire you today. Since that's the case, I'll give you face. As long as the Long family gives me one thing, I'll leave. How about it? Hearing this, Longao was suddenly happy. No matter what, the strength of the opponent was too strong. Even if he attacked with all his strength, he didn't have the confidence to defeat this person. If he could use one thing to settle this, it would be the best. Senior, I don't know what you need. As long as my family has it, I'll give it to you. You're quite sensible. Does your family have a key? Chapter 337. Key? Longbu's heart skipped a beat, but his face remained calm as he asked, Senior, what key? Humph. Without another word, Sherpatian suddenly unleashed a powerful aura that pressed down on Longbu. If it weren't for Sherpotion's good control, it would have been enough to kill Longbu. Sherpatian, get lost. With a wave of his hand, Sherpatian didn't even need to do anything. Long Potion's body was already sent flying, making contact with the ground. He grimaced in pain. Sure. Before Longao could say anything, Sherpatian said in a deep voice, Longao, I've given you face because you're a talent, but Longbu doesn't know what's good for him. I'll ask you one last time. Hand over the key. Longao was very curious. He didn't know what kind of key Longbu had and why he didn't hand it over. Was his life more important than the key? Longbu's face darkened when he saw his son being hit, but he still denied it. I really don't know what the key you're talking about is. You're courting death. Wait, I know the key. Patian. Long Patian climbed up with difficulty and suddenly smiled. Father, is a key really more important than our lives? If you hand over the key, the Long family will never be able to rise again. Longbu's face was filled with despair because he knew very well what the key represented. But Long Patian didn't care. He took a small black key from his neck and asked, Are you talking about this key? Ha ha ha, yes it is. You know what's good for you. If you'd handed over the key earlier, I wouldn't have had to destroy Crimson Dragon City. The key fell into Sherpotion's hand, and he suddenly laughed. He ignored Longbu and Long Patian and looked at Longao. He suddenly said, Longao, with your talent, you'll come back sooner or later. When that time comes, I hope you won't disappoint me. Ha ha ha, I'm looking forward to that day. Seeing Sherpatian laughing and leaving, Longao and Long Patian let out a sigh of relief. Brother Long, thank you very much. You and I are brothers. 5 simple words. Longao didn't say anything else. This was a friend. This was a brother. Everything was understood without words. Long Patian nodded and didn't say anything else. Seeing his father walk over, he asked directly, Father, you never told me what this key does. Why did it attract such a powerful cultivator? Key. Laughing miserably and hopelessly, Longbu said, This key was given to my Long family by a senior. He said that when the time is right, my Long family can rise and even advance to become a rank 3 Long family. But now, Long Patian seemed to want to ask something else, but Longbu had already turned around and left. Crimson Dragon City was already in shambles, and even the Dragon Clan was almost destroyed. It would not be easy to rise again. Longbu despaired. Longao and Long Patian looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. Big Brother Patian, it seems like Uncle has suffered quite a blow. Why don't the Long family join our dragon sect first, and then we'll decide what to do in the future? Long Patian obviously knew about the dragon sect that Longao had just established. After thinking for a bit, he finally nodded and said, All right, that's all we can do now. Brother Long, the Sherpatian who just left is not simple. If I'm not mistaken, he shouldn't belong here. Didn't belong here? Longao knew what Long Patian was implying. Thinking about the chi of heaven and earth that Sherpatian had just released, Longao understood Sherpotion's identity and strength. Could this person be from the spirit region of the 9 states? East Royal City, West 3rd Grade Long Family, South Nether Underworld Mansion, North Ethereal Palace, Spirit Realm of the 9 states. Sherpatian was definitely not from the Long family. The reason was simple. Sherpotion's surname was not Long. Since that was the case, it meant that Sherpatian was a disciple of one of the 3 great powers. Longao didn't know where Sherpatian came from. Nether Mansion? Ethereal Palace? Or the Imperial City? After thinking for a bit, Longao decided to exclude the Imperial City. Because of the grudge between him and the Imperial City, if Sherpatian was from the Imperial City, then he would definitely choose to deal with him. Just now, Longao had carefully observed Sherpotion's expression. From the beginning to the end, Sherpatian didn't seem to recognize him at all. Therefore, it was very likely that Sherpatian came from 2 places. One was the Nether Mansion, and the other was the Ethereal Palace. Sherpatian. Longao deeply remembered this name, because he knew very well that no matter which power Shirpatian belonged to, he would become a formidable opponent in the future. Incomparably powerful, mysterious, and unfathomable. This was Long Ao's evaluation of Shirpatian. Since his debut, Long Ao had seen countless experts, and the strongest was only a supreme being. But no matter who it was impossible for them to have the chi of heaven and earth. Obviously, Shirpotian's strength had reached a certain level, a level that he couldn't reach. Brother Long, are you worried about Shirpatian? Nodding, Long Ao didn't hide anything and said, Shirpotian's strength is mysterious and unfathomable. If he attacked, I wouldn't even be able to block 3 moves. Hearing that, Long Patian was shocked. He never would have thought that even his brother Long couldn't block 3 of Shirpotian's attacks. It was obvious just how powerful Shirpatian was. One had to know that Brother Long had just killed 8 Supreme Being spiritual beasts by himself. Just with this strength, not to mention a Supreme Being, even a Supreme Being wouldn't be a problem. However, such a powerful Brother Long couldn't even block 3 moves from Shirpatian. Long Patian didn't even dare to think about what realm Shirpotian's strength had reached. Brother Patian, if nothing unexpected happens, Shirpotian's cultivation should be above the World Emperor. Of course, Long Patian knew about the 8 realms of nothingness. Because of this, he asked in shock, Brother Long, you mean to say that there are even higher realms above the 8 realms of nothingness? Although unwilling to admit it, Long Ao still said, that's right, there are indeed higher realms above the 8 realms of nothingness. However, I don't know. From the strength Shirpatian displayed just now, I can say for sure that Shirpotian's strength definitely surpasses the World Emperor. Long Patian took a deep breath and forcefully calmed the shock in his heart. Only then did he say, fortunately, he only wanted the key and not our lives. Otherwise, we would all be dead right now. Long Ao wasn't that optimistic, because for some reason, he had a feeling that he would definitely meet Shirpatian again in the near future. Chapter 338. No matter what, he had saved the Long family from danger. Long Ao took Longbu, Long Patian, and the remaining disciples of the Long family and left Crimson Province to return to Long Ao Peak. Long Ao thought about it, and finally decided to settle Brother Potion's family on Long Ao Peak. With the corpse slave and fire Cheeling guarding, it would be much safer. Long Ao's trip to Crimson Province took a total of 10 days. When he returned to the Dragon Sect, he found that the entire mountain was already in ruins and had been trampled on. There was no unwillingness. No matter what, the Dragon Sect's disciples were fine. This was already a blessing in disguise. As long as the disciples were here, they could make a comeback in a matter of minutes. Long Ao had just returned to the Dragon Sect. He didn't know how Ghost King Aotion found out, but he had already come looking for him. He went straight to the point and asked, Long Ao, where have you been all this time? Long Ao's face was indifferent. He said, I have urgent matters to attend to. Seeing that Long Ao was in a bad mood, Aotion said, this time, the Imperial City sent 300 pre-celestial warriors and a celestial master. One of them returned empty-handed. 3 days later, I will be waiting for them here. Before Aotion could speak, Long Ao continued, we are in an alliance. The Dragon Sect is not a subordinate of the Ghost King Sect. For Aoshua's sake, I will not pursue this matter. But I hope you will not go too far. Long Ao was clearly unhappy because he was already feeling the pressure. Along the way, every time he was about to reach the peak, there would always be stronger warriors in front of him. He originally thought that the Void World Emperor was the strongest existence, but Long Ao did not expect that there was an existence even stronger than the Void World Emperor. Aotion took a deep look and said, all right, 3 days later, I will persuade the Imperial City to continue attacking the Dragon Sect. I hope you will not disappear for no reason at that time. Aotion knew that Long Ao was no longer the same as before. Even the Ghost King Sect did not dare to provoke the Dragon Sect. If the Ghost King clan did not have the support of the Imperial City, they would not have been able to resist the Dragon Clan. Just think about it. The dragon sect was able to wipe out the three major sects overnight. Just thinking about it made one realize just how powerful the dragon sect was. Regarding this point, Aotion the Ghost King naturally knew clearly. Longao did not bother with Aotion. He came to the dragon sect, gathered all the disciples and said, "Within 2 days, I want to restore the dragon sect to its original appearance." "Yes, master." Now, Longao had both the manpower and the money. In just 2 short days, it was not difficult for the dragon sect to recover to its original state. This time, Longao's requirements were very high. He wanted the grade to be doubled. Ever since Longao returned to the dragon sect, he did not appear again. Everything was left to Dugu Bai and Longpatian. The matter of recruiting disciples was also left to Xiaofeng and Xiaojun Dusk. Longao stood at the peak of the mountain and looked at the vast land with a clear mind. At this moment, Longao was very calm and did not think about anything. Gradually, Longao's body began to move. Although it seemed messy, there was a fixed trajectory. After walking for a full hour, Longao suddenly stopped. He was pleasantly surprised and said to himself, "So that's how it is." At this moment, the dantian in Longao's body began to spin crazily. The surrounding spiritual chi of heaven and earth flowed into his dantian continuously. Longao was completely covered by the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Collect. With a roar, all the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was absorbed into Longao's body. It went straight into his dantian and flowed throughout his body. Longao was pleasantly surprised because he suddenly found a breakthrough in the supremacy realm that he had been unable to break through. Enlightenment. Longao knew very well that he was able to find a breakthrough this time because of enlightenment, and the source of enlightenment was Shurpatian. Shurpatian and the evil devil were the most powerful existences Longao had ever encountered. After all, the evil devil was just a soul. The pressure it gave him wasn't that great. However, Shurpatian was different. The pressure he gave off was real, causing Longao to comprehend and find the breakthrough point of the Paragon realm. The biggest difference between Venerable Void and Void Sovereign was the Sovereign Golden Core. In other words, if Venerable Void wanted to break through to Void Sovereign, he had to condense the spiritual chi in his body into a golden core. This seemed simple, but it was actually difficult. Otherwise, Longao would not be so depressed. In any case, now that he had found a breakthrough, as long as he condensed the spiritual chi into a golden core, he would be considered to have reached the so-called supremacy realm. Longao did not let go of such an opportunity. He devoted himself to condensing the spiritual chi because he knew very well that if he failed this time, it would be even more difficult to condense the spiritual chi a second time. At this moment, all the energy in Longao's body gathered in his dantian. Then, it began to rotate, slowly converge, and began to compress. This was the most important step. Whether he could condense the golden core depended on this step. All the spiritual chi gathered and began to compress fiercely. After an unknown period of time, Longao stopped absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth around him. However, Longao was shrouded in the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. He could not see his body at all, only a thick layer of white air shield. Inside the air shield, Longao had already condensed a small golden bead in his body. It was the Supremacy Golden Core. After an entire night of condensing, Longao had finally condensed the Supremacy Golden Core. However, this was not the end, because Longao still had to continue to consolidate the Golden Core, making it completely stable. Longao knew the Supremacy Void very well. The stronger the Golden Core was, the faster the cultivation level would increase. In other words, after the Supremacy Void broke through to the Supremacy Realm and condensed the Golden Core, some warriors would directly enter the Supremacy Void Realm, some warriors would enter the Supremacy Void Realm, some warriors would enter the Supremacy Void Realm, and some warriors would even enter the Supremacy Void Realm directly. It was because of this that Longao tried his best to consolidate it. Gradually, the golden core in Longao's body grew bigger. When it was the size of a fist, Longao felt as if his entire body was being sucked dry. In an instant, all the spiritual chi in his body disappeared. At this time, The golden core that had just been consolidated emitted a strong spiritual chi. The supremacy golden core, the spiritual chi, represented the supremacy realm. Longao was pleasantly surprised. He had never thought that he would be able to break through so easily at this time. Moreover, he was not a nothingness primary sovereign, but a nothingness peak sovereign. Such a speed of improvement was something that he had never dreamed of. Longao did not hesitate at all. He immediately spread the spiritual chi emitted by the golden core all over his body, not letting any part of his body go. In this way, Longao's cultivation level was completely stabilized at the supremacy void realm. This was something that Longao had not expected. P.S. I can't hold on any longer. Little 9 is going to eat something. The remaining 3 chapters will all be delivered from 1 to 2 o'clock. Tomorrow, there will still be 10 chapters. Little 9 will wake up early to write them. After staying up late for the past few days, Little 9 is indeed tired. Chapter 339. Void Sovereign. Moreover, he was a Void Peak Sovereign. Longao solidified the spiritual source all over his body. Only then did he truly reach Void Peak Sovereign. As expected, after successfully breaking through to the Void Pinnacle Supremacy, Longao could finally sense the difference between the Void Supremacy and the Void Supremacy. This was a fundamental difference. Longao had a feeling that if he were to meet a Supremacy now, he would be able to kill him instantly without any assistance. This was the strong confidence brought by Void Peak Sovereign. However, Longao was not complacent because he knew that Void Sovereign was nothing in the Void realm. Above him were Void Heavenly Honorable, Void Grand Honorable, Void Boundary King, Void Boundary Emperor, and even more powerful existences above the Void realm. There was still a long way to go. Void Peak Sovereign. If he met a Celestial Venerable, as long as Long Cheng helped him, he believed that it would not be difficult to fight a Celestial Venerable. It was precisely because of this that Longao could not wait to battle with the Heavenly Venerables to test just how strong he had become. 3 days later, no one knew what method Aotion used, but the 308 experts from the Imperial City once again arrived at the Dragon Sect. This time, the strongest person was Yi Kai, the Imperial City's law enforcement Celestial Venerable, standing in front of the Dragon Sect. Yi Kai's face was full of ridicule and contempt. In his opinion, no matter how much Longao struggled, he would always be a venerable. Even if he could kill a sovereign instantly, a venerable would always be a venerable. A venerable or a sovereign was nothing in front of a celestial venerable. Kill without mercy. Leave no one alive. At Yi Kai's order, the 308 experts all rushed forward and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Then, there were angry, and even frightened voices. What happened? Hearing the miserable screams, Yi Kai was shocked. He had no idea what had happened. Dragon Sect. The 300 Xiantian martial artists were very powerful, but they were nothing to the current Dragon Sect. Longao didn't even use the Heaven and Earth Array. He just summoned his soul slaves and killed them. Honorable and supreme soul slaves slaughtered these Xiantian martial artists. The souls of Xiantian martial artists, transformation martial artists, and even venerables and supremes were all refined by Longao into soul slaves or corpse slaves. The corpse slaves were arranged in the sect. As for soul slaves, Longao discovered that in certain situations, soul slaves were very useful in group battles. 300 Xiantian realm warriors were slaughtered by Supreme Being and Venerable realm soul slaves. Their miserable cries echoed throughout the mountain. When Yi Kai arrived, the ground was littered with corpses. It would not be an exaggeration to say that corpses littered the ground. Longao, get the hell out here. Who are you? Imperial City's law enforcement celestial venerable, Yi Kai, Longao, the law enforcement celestial lord of the Imperial City, suddenly appeared. He looked coldly at the burly man in front of him, shook his head, and said coldly, "The Imperial City will only send out some shrimp soldiers and crab generals." After being despised, Yi Kai suddenly sneered and said mockingly, "Longao, don't be so arrogant. I'll give you a chance. Kill yourself here, and I'll spare your dog life." I'll only ask you to break your arms and legs. You talk too much nonsense. Motherf asterisk cur. Without waiting for Yikai to finish speaking, Longao directly scolded. Your mother's sister, your uncle, relying on the fact that you are the imperial city's law enforcement Empyrean, you can actually be shameless to such an extent. I really admire you. Still not giving Yikai the slightest chance to speak, Longao continued, I'm officially challenging you now. Do you dare to accept? Challenging him? The other party actually wanted to challenge him? Hearing this, Yikai suddenly laughed out loud. His laughter was full of contempt and mockery, as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. Was it possible for a venerable to challenge a celestial lord? Longao, I have to admit that you're really arrogant, but you should know your limits. You're just a little venerable. If you want to challenge me, I'd like to ask, are you qualified? It's not up to you to decide whether I'm qualified or not. Are you saying this because you're afraid? You don't dare to accept the challenge? Ha ha ha, I don't dare to accept the challenge? Okay, Longao, I officially accept the challenge. If I can't beat you in 10 moves, I'll call you Grandpa. Call what? Call you Grandpa. Call what? Yikai was completely furious. He cursed, Motherf asterisk cur. I mean, if I can't beat you in 10 moves, I'll call you Grandpa. Good boy. You called me Grandpa 3 times. Not bad, not bad. Being played by the other party, Yikai was furious. He didn't continue to talk nonsense and directly rushed out. However, Yikai didn't choose to meet force with force. Instead, he flew into the air and looked down from above. This way, he would be invincible. The biggest difference between a celestial lord and a supreme was that a celestial lord could fly for a short time. Just imagine, one was in the air and the other was on the ground. Once the battle started, a venerable would be almost instantly killed by a celestial lord. However, Yikai was facing Longao, a super monster with countless celestial lords. As soon as he attacked, Longao used his territory, which was the so-called Longchong. A huge black dragon was Longchong. The combination of a human and a dragon was invincible. Looking at the black dragon that the other party had suddenly summoned, Yikai's expression suddenly changed because he had never thought that Longao would really be the so-called dragon warrior. He had always thought that the rumor that Longao was a dragon warrior was just a rumor. Long family was divided into 9 levels. They were level 1 Long family, level 2 Long family, level 3 Long family, level 4 Long family, level 5 Long family, level 6 Long family, level 7 Long family, level 8 Long family, and level 9 Long family. The Long clan had a rule that no matter who it was, only those who had reached rank 3 and above could become a martial artist of the Dragon Clan. Once a rank 4 martial artist became a martial artist of the Dragon Clan, they would definitely be punished by the Long clan. It was because of this that Yikai couldn't figure out why Longao was a dragon warrior, but the Long family didn't care. Longchong's body was already 8 meters tall. Longao stood on Longchong's body. In this way, Yikai's advantage was gone. But no matter what, a venerable was still a venerable. It was impossible to compete with a celestial lord. This was the gap between realms, and nothing else could make up for it. Just like this, the two of them instantly engaged in a fierce battle. 1 man and 1 dragon. The roar of the dragon resounded throughout the world. Longao used his fiercest moves just now. Every move was vicious because Longao wanted to end the battle quickly. After breaking through to the Void Sovereign Realm, Longao's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. It was because of this that Longao went all out. The biggest difference between a celestial lord and a sovereign was the ability to fly. After all, even a celestial lord had a golden core in their body. The difference was that a sovereign had a golden core while a celestial had a golden core. P.S. I'm really sleepy. It's already 2 o'clock. Who's little 9 going first? Today's 2 chapters will be made up tomorrow morning. Little 9 will wake up early. Chapter 340. Sovereign Golden Core, Heavenly Venerable Golden Core. The golden cores of the 2 realms were the same, but their power was different. Longao quickly dodged. Divine Dragon Tail Whip. Long Chong used his valiant body to continuously clash head-on with Ye Kai. Longao, on the other hand, seized the opportunity and threw punch after punch. At this moment, Ye Kai was depressed to the extreme. After all, dragon warriors were very powerful in this world. The advantage of a heavenly venerable was gone. According to the current situation, it was almost impossible to end the battle quickly. Longao and Ye Kai both wanted to eliminate each other in the shortest time possible, so their attacks were extremely vicious. They didn't care about anything else and just wanted to kill the other party first. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had already fought for 30 rounds. Longao already knew his strength. It would be very difficult to kill a heavenly venerable unless he used his trump card, Sorrow of Heaven and Earth. Sorrow of Heaven and Earth, Longao still used this move. With Longao and Long Chong as the center, it started to spin, forming a tornado that crazily absorbed the surrounding spiritual energy. Before Ye Kai could react, a dragon roar sounded, but Long Chong's figure was nowhere to be seen. One man and one dragon were enveloped by the tornado. Seeing the powerful martial technique used by the other party, Ye Kai was dumbfounded. He never thought that Longao's martial technique would be so powerful. At this moment, Ye Kai seemed to sense something. He exclaimed and roared in horror. Impossible! This is impossible! How can you have the aura of heaven and earth? Nirvana rebirth. You can't have Nirvana rebirth. Longao didn't answer. What answered him was only the fiercest attack. Longao didn't give Ye Kai any chance at all. One man and one dragon attacked fiercely. The situation was completely different from before. At this moment, Ye Kai was suppressed by the aura of heaven and earth. His speed and strength were greatly reduced. It was a headache to the extreme. What was going on? Longao's strength completely confused Ye Kai. He had no idea what was going on. Ye Kai couldn't figure out how a puny supreme being could release the aura of heaven and earth. This kind of legendary power seemed to be something that could only be condensed through Nirvana rebirth. Ye Kai's speed and strength were restricted. Longao attacked even more crazily. Each move was stronger than the previous one. He did not give Ye Kai any chance to breathe. Longao, I'll kill you. Rolling his eyes, Longao almost vomited. He really couldn't figure out why Ye Kai was still boasting when he was already at this point. Did he really think that he could dodge his attack? Sorrow of Heaven and Earth was the most powerful martial skill Longao possessed. He wouldn't use it under normal circumstances, but against a heavenly venerate, Longao didn't think too much about it. He only had one goal, and that was to kill Ye Kai. It was precisely because of this that Longao didn't pay any attention to the other party. Long Chong and Longao used the desolate tyrant body at the same time. They simply ignored Ye Kai's attacks. This was also what made Ye Kai the most oppressed. It was useless for him to attack the other party 100 times. However, if the other party attacked him once, he would have to desperately dodge. If this continued, it would be obvious who would win. A heavenly venerate was truly worthy of being a heavenly venerate. Longao finally experienced the so-called strength of a heavenly venerate. Even if he used Sorrow of Heaven and Earth, he still wouldn't be able to kill the other party in a short time. This was the so-called heavenly venerate. Longao knew very well that he had to end the battle quickly. According to this situation, once the power of Sorrow of Heaven and Earth disappeared, it wouldn't be so easy to kill Ye Kai. Although Sorrow of Heaven and Earth was incomparably powerful, it couldn't be used twice in a row. Otherwise, it would backfire, and he would be in big trouble. It was precisely because of this that Longao attacked even more fiercely. Soul attack. In the end, Longao still chose to stake it all. Among the martial skills he possessed, besides Sorrow of Heaven and Earth, the most powerful was soul attack. If Longao had used a soul attack from the start, then it would have definitely failed. However, the current situation was completely different. Longao had continuously attacked Ye Kai. Adding on Sorrow of Heaven and Earth, his state of mind was already in chaos. So when Longao used a soul attack, he would definitely succeed. Longao's current strength had already reached such a level that his soul attack was incomparably powerful. Even if the other party was a heavenly venerate, they wouldn't be able to block it. Delighted, Longao didn't give up on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After his soul attack succeeded, blood-sucking broadsword slashed down. With an inconceivable speed, blood-sucking broadsword cut Ikai in two. The tornado disappeared. Looking at heavenly venerate Ikai on the ground, Long Ao sent his soul into the dragon seal space, preparing to let Long Fu refine him into a soul slave. No matter what, having a heavenly venerate soul slave by his side would be of great help to him. This time, he had successfully killed heavenly venerate Ikai. Long Ao was very clear that if it was based on his true strength, it would be impossible for him to kill a heavenly venerate. This was the difference between a sovereign and a heavenly venerate. Even a peak sovereign and an initial heavenly venerate couldn't compare. This time, he was able to successfully kill heavenly venerate Ikai. Long Ao knew that he had completely relied on his soul attack and sorrow of heaven and earth. Standing quietly, Long Ao didn't know what he was thinking. This time, 300 Xiantian martial artists and a heavenly venerate from the imperial city had attacked the dragon sect. However, they had been completely wiped out. When the news came out, the entire 9 provinces was shaken. No one had dared to imagine that the dragon sect was so powerful that they didn't even fear the imperial city. Although 300 Xiantian martial artists weren't much, this time, the imperial city had sent a heavenly venerate. According to the strength of the law enforcement heavenly venerate, it shouldn't have been difficult to destroy the dragon sect. However, what was the result? The entire army was wiped out. Even the heavenly venerate didn't manage to escape. This in itself already showed the strength of the dragon sect. At this point, everyone truly knew that the dragon sect was so powerful. If the Ghost King sect didn't have the support of the imperial city, it was likely that the current overlord of the Tianzhou would be the dragon sect. After successfully wiping out the imperial city's army, the Ghost King Ao Tian was very happy. This was because he had finally witnessed the strength of the dragon sect. The stronger Long Ao was, the better it would be for him. Long Ao, the dragon sect strength is really not bad. If nothing unexpected happens, the imperial city's army will be wiped out by you. Soon, they will send an even stronger army. When that time comes, you and I will work together. One in the light, one in the dark. I believe that we can completely eradicate them. This way, we won't be far from dominating the Tianzhou. Long Ao wasn't surprised by the Ghost King's words. This was because the imperial city's army of 300 and a heavenly venerate had been wiped out by him. The imperial city wouldn't let this go. He believed that the next army they sent out would be much stronger than this. Long Ao wasn't worried about the imperial city. He was worried about the third-grade Long family. Chapter 341. Long Ao knew that the grudge between him and the third-rank Long family had reached a point of no return. Otherwise, the third-rank Long family would not have joined forces with the other 3 families to issue a kill order. Long Ao, what's the matter? Long Ao nodded. He did not hide anything about the grudge between him and the rank 3 Long clan. He gave a rough explanation. You mean that once the third-rank Long family knows that you have returned to the dragon sect, they will launch a large-scale attack? Ao Tian was not a fool. Of course, he knew the consequences of the third-rank Long family and the imperial city joining forces. Moreover, Long Ao had made it very clear that the grudge between him and the third-rank Long family had reached a point where they could not tolerate each other. If the third-rank Long family insisted on attacking, the consequences would be unimaginable. The heavenly venerables were only the middle level of the 4 major forces. Above them were the great venerables, world kings, and world emperors. What if the third-rank Long family sent a great venerables? Long Ao and Ao Tian discussed for an entire night. No one knew what the outcome would be. Long Ao's killing of a heavenly venerate could be considered a blessing in disguise. He knew that his top priority now was to break through the sovereign realm and reach the earthly venerate realm as soon as possible. That way, it would not be so troublesome if he encountered a heavenly venerate again. Sovereign void, earthly venerate void, and heavenly venerate void. The three major realms all had golden cores. The only difference between sovereign golden cores, earthly venerate golden cores, and heavenly venerate golden cores was that the higher the realm, the more condensed and powerful the golden cores would be. In the dragon seal space, Long Fu, I need power. Master, your epiphany this time will be very helpful for your realm improvement. I have just thought about it. As long as you continue to absorb power, I believe that the sacred desolation body will automatically upgrade. When that time comes, it will be easy for you to break through. The sacred desolation body. Although the sacred desolation body was suddenly very difficult, one had to admit that the sacred desolation body was indeed very powerful. Especially at the juncture, as long as there was enough power, there would be almost no obstacles and one could advance directly. Of course, Long Fu knew what Longao meant. As long as the golden cores of Void Sovereign, Earthly Venerate Void, and Heavenly Venerate Void continued to stabilize and strengthen, it would be easy for them to break through. Master, I've finished refining the Heavenly Venerate you just killed. Judging by its strength, once you absorb it, I believe it won't be difficult for you to break through to the Earthly Venerate level. He was overjoyed. What Longao needed the most now is power. Even if he could break through to beginner earthly venerable rank, it would be an earth-shaking change. The Void 8 Realms. Void Catastrophe Realm, Void Sovereign 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 Realm, Void World King Realm, Void World Emperor Realm, Void 8 Realms. Next, Longao did not waste any time and absorbed the power refined by Ye Kai's soul. As Long Fu had said, the sacred desolation body that he possessed had almost no bottlenecks, so it was easy for him to break through from peak sovereign to beginner earthly venerable rank. In just a few days, his cultivation had broken through from venerable to sovereign and then to earthly venerable. Such a speed of breakthrough was a little abnormal, so abnormal that it was a little ridiculous. If news of this were to spread, one could imagine the consequences it would cause. Longao was also a little surprised. He had never thought that in just a few days, his cultivation would break through one after another, and he would become a middle-level earthly venerable rank. Longao was full of confidence. If he were to fight Ye Kai with his current strength, even if he did not use soul attacks, just releasing the aura of heaven and earth, which was the so-called sorrow of heaven and earth, would be enough to obliterate his opponent. Middle-level earthly venerable rank. It would be a lie to say that he was not excited. Spirit Region of the 9 States, Level 3 Long Family, Main Hall. Sect Master, I did not find the location of Longao's family, but I received a piece of news regarding Longao. You did not find him? His face suddenly turned cold, but Long Maoan was not angry. He asked in a deep voice, What news? Master, before I came back, I received a piece of news. Longao has returned to Dragon Sect, and the Imperial City sent 300 innate martial artists and a law enforcement heavenly venerable to attack Dragon Sect. What's the result? Long Maoan seemed to be a little impatient. After all, if Longao died, it would definitely be good for the Level 3 Long family. Master, the Imperial City army was completely annihilated, and even the law enforcement heavenly venerable was not spared. It seems that Dragon Sect's strength is not that simple. Hearing this news, Long Maoan's face turned gloomier. He said coldly, Elder, send me 10 law enforcement heavenly venerables and a supreme venerable. I want to see how powerful Dragon Sect is. Long Yin was startled when he heard this. The 10 law enforcement heavenly venerates were nothing, but he knew what a great venerate martialist represented. After all, a great venerate was a very important existence to the 4 great factions. Master, as if knowing what Long Yin wanted to say, Long Maoan waved his hand and said, Longao must die. Go find little Su for me. Long Yin sighed deeply in his heart. He knew the master's character very well. Once the master had made up his mind, it would be very difficult to change it. Not long after Long Yin left, he walked in with a burly man. This man displayed great strength with every move he made. Just the aura on his body was not something Ye Kai could compare with. Void 8 Realms. The burly man was a foreign elder of the Level 3 Long family. Although his surname was not Long, he had a very high status in the level 3 Long family. Even the Master Elder treated Su Chun very well. "Master, you're looking for me?" Nodding, Long Maoen's face looked better. He said, "You can leave now. Take 10 law enforcement celestial lords and go to the ordinary spiritual celestial state. Find Long Ao from the dragon sect. Remember, no matter what happens, bring me his head." "Master, is it necessary to bring so many law enforcement heavenly venerables to a small Long Ao? What happened in the Imperial City is an example. You must not be careless." Long Yan's expression was dignified and worried. He didn't know why, but he felt that there was something wrong with Long Ao. As for what was wrong, he couldn't say. If something were to happen to Su Chun, then the Long family would suffer a great loss. Su Chun thought otherwise. He said, "Elder, you must be thinking too much. I don't believe that a small Long Ao can stir up any great waves. I will immediately begin. Half a month from now, I will bring his corpse back. Master and Elder, please rest assured." Long Yin wanted to say something else, but he was stopped by Long Maoen. He smiled and said, "Very good. As long as you can kill Long Ao, I will let you experience my domain and help you break into the World King realm." Hearing this, Su Chun was overjoyed. He immediately bowed and left, as if he couldn't wait any longer. After all, the World King realm was the boundary he dreamed of. P.S. Yesterday's 10 chapters have been updated. Next will be today's 10 chapters. Chapter 342. Elder, are you still worried? Long Yin nodded and did not hide anything. He said, "Master, I feel that something is amiss. Why don't we investigate it first?" Long Ao must die. "Master, the Imperial City and Long Ao are at odds now. Long Ao has even slaughtered the Imperial City's army. If nothing goes wrong, the Imperial City will definitely deal with Long Ao. There is no need for us to do anything." Long Maoen knew what Long Yin meant. He waved his hand and said, "Long Ao must be killed by our Long clan. If the Imperial City is one step ahead of us, what will happen to our Long clan's reputation?" In the end, it was still the family's reputation. Long Yin did not say anything else. He knew that the family's interests were the most important in front of the master. Nothing could be compared to that. Tianzhou, Dragon Sect. Long Ao, who had just broken through to middle-level earthly venerable rank, did not appear and did not care about the Dragon Sect. Dragon Sect, in a secret room. Long Ming hemmed and hawed, not knowing what to say. After Long Ao finished listening, his expression was extremely solemn. Long Ming had awakened his inheritance 2 days ago. However, he realized that in order to activate it, he had to obtain a treasure from the 9 Netherworld Tiger clan in the inheritance of his parents' power. Long Ming's business was his business. Could he really not care about it? "Long Ming, where is the 9 nether space that you mentioned?" Sob sob sob, sob sob sob, sob sob sob. Long Ao nodded. Of course, he understood what Long Ming meant. In other words, the inheritance he had just obtained was the key to opening the 9 nether space. As long as the power of inheritance was activated, he and Long Ming could enter the 9 nether space. Long Ao did not want to leave under the current circumstances. After all, the Imperial City and the rank 3 Long family might attack the sect at any time. Hence, he had to be prepared. However, Long Ao knew that Long Ming's matter was very important. After all, without the inheritance and power, Long Ming's cultivation would not be able to increase. As a result, his and Long Chong's strength would not be able to increase. Now was the time when he needed strength the most. After much consideration, Long Ao decided to make a trip to the 9 nether space. "Big Brother Dugu, Big Brother Patian, I won't be around for a while, so I'll leave the sect in your hands. Remember, defend if you can, and retreat if you can't. As long as we're here, we'll be able to make a comeback in a matter of minutes." Dugu Bai and Long Patian nodded. The two of them weren't fools. They knew very well that if it wasn't for something urgent, the master wouldn't have left. However, they weren't too worried. Don't worry about it. Regardless of whether it's the Imperial City or the level 3 Long family, if they dare to come, we'll activate the heaven and earth formation. I'll make sure they won't be able to return. Heaven and Earth formation. Longao had already passed down the Heaven and Earth array formation to the two of them. He believed that any martial artist below the Empyrean realm should be able to deal with it. As for the great sovereigns and world kings that reigned above a supreme, would the imperial city and the third-level Long family really send them out? It was because of this that Longao felt relieved in handing the dragon sect to the two of them. After a few simple words, Longao and Long Ming arrived at the back mountains of the dragon sect. Long Ming, let's begin. Long Ming nodded. At this time, his body wasn't too large, only around 2 meters in size. But an astonishing strength erupted from his body. Longao felt this strength and knew that this was the so-called strength of inheritance. It was very strong. Immediately after, this power of inheritance enveloped Longao and Long Ming's bodies. With a flash of light, the figures of the man and the tiger completely disappeared. In the next second, the two of them had already entered a dark space. This was a dark space. The entire space was boundless, just like a continent. The air emitted a strange flow of air. Longao didn't dare to breathe it in, because he had no idea what this flow of air was. Beneath his feet, icy cold rocks appeared incomparably smooth. There were mountains everywhere, rising and falling. This was the 9 netherworld space? According to Long Ming's inheritance, Longao knew that there was an independent space within the martial heaven continent known as the 9 netherworld space. There were only spirit beasts here. There were no human cultivators. But it was precisely because of this that this place was even more cruel. You had to be on guard at all times, or you wouldn't even know how you died. The 9 netherworld space had a total of 10 imperial races spirit beasts. The 10 imperial races spirit beasts fought for supremacy all year round. The 9 netherworld earth tiger was one of the 10 imperial races spirit beasts. Back then, for some unknown reason, the other 9 imperial races spirit beasts had joined hands to deal with the 9 netherworld earth tiger race. In a 1 versus 9 situation, the 9 netherworld earth tiger race had been unable to endure and had been exterminated. In other words, there were only a few 9 netherworld earth tigers left in the martial heaven continent. Long Ming was the successor of the 9 netherworld earth tiger race. It was very simple. As long as Long Ming could obtain his parents' inheritance, as well as the 9 netherworld earth tiger race's priceless treasure, he would become the new master of the 9 netherworld earth tiger race. Longao also knew that Long Ming's identity couldn't be leaked. He couldn't let the other 9 imperial races learn of it. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Long Ming, where is your family? Is there a record of it in your inheritance? The 9 netherworld space was too vast. Longao was very clear that if there wasn't a location for the inheritance, then trying to find the 9 netherworld earth tiger race's location in the boundless 9 netherworld space would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. Longao heaved a sigh of relief. If that was the case, things would be much easier to handle. As long as he avoided the spiritual beasts of the 9 great imperial families and went to the 9 netherworld tiger clan, he would be able to find the inheritance of power and treasures. Then, he would immediately leave the 9 netherworld space and everything would be fine. That sounded simple, but doing it was incomparably difficult. There were countless spirit beasts in the 9 netherworld space. Furthermore, the spirit beasts here were the same as the spirit beasts on the Corpse Mountain. They were all exceptionally fierce. Furthermore, there were also the 9 imperial races spirit beasts. If he was unlucky and encountered one of them, it would be troublesome. That was why Longao had the 9 netherworld earth tiger return to the dragon seal space first. That way, even if he was discovered by the 9 imperial races spirit beasts, he wouldn't be so enraged. Looking around, Longao found it hard to imagine how he could survive in such a vile environment. However, Longao also knew that to be able to survive in such an environment, the strength he had condensed would be terrifying. Now that he had helped Long Ming obtain his inheritance and treasures, he could properly temper himself. If he could break through to the heavenly venerate realm in the 9 netherworld space, wouldn't that be perfect? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.